X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time.
Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? We feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mills, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You've seen now, watch me not now, punch your face now. Let me show you how.
Good afternoon, guys. What is up? It is good to see all of you again. I didn't stream yesterday. I wanted to, but if I'm being honest with you guys, I ran out of Monster Energy, and I was going through bad caffeine withdrawals, and just had a terrible headache all day. Just the worst headache you could ever imagine all day. And I didn't feel like streaming. But I got Monster Energy now, and I just drank one, and I feel great. Good to see all of you, though. What's up, Grassatriton? Pink Sheep, how are you? Dark Excalibur 42, good to see you. Queef Jerky, how are you? Aska, good to see you as well. Saru, what's up? Beta Leafy, good to see you. Transgender Gal, good to see you as well. Username change. Dark Excalibur 42, what's up? Black Rose Jaden, Cryptid T, Uncle Gumbald. What's up, Cherry? Holy shit, is that Xanderhull in my computer? What the fuck? No way! Yep, I'm inside your computer. I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls. I had a nasty low blood sugar incident yesterday, so I can relate. Oh my god, I'm sorry to hear that, Brendan Kruger. I hope your blood sugar is, back to normal levels, and whatever symptoms that came with that are gone. Not much, Zan, just working on my PSO2 character outfit. Pathfinder? Is that what that is? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, actually. I don't know. what that is an acronym for. Yeah. You guys know what I've been doing a lot. Phantasy Star Online 2. I don't know why you thought I'd know what that was. You know what I've been playing, chat? Today is the day Zan announces he is pivoting to making Breaking Bad review content. Literally nothing but videos where I review Breaking Bad over and over and over and over and over again. Just like, I rewatch Breaking Bad once a week and make a new review of it every time. It's basically the new channel. Sorry, guys, but that's the change we're making. That'd be a good meme. That would be a good meme. They snuck an ACAB on the official NYPD cop cars? What do you mean by they? Like, what do you mean? Oh, you're making me click links? There's no way that's not intentional. All colors are beautiful. A-C-A-B. ACAB. Oh no. The woke police. The police have gotten so woke and now they're anti-cop. Now the police are in Antifa. It's all over. It's over for us. A Pillow, what's up? Good to see you, dude. Nice to have you in chat. Wow, we already got some donos coming in. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support. Here's a link for you. You guys want me to watch a Mooncat video? Okay. I've actually watched Mooncat's videos before. I have a question for you guys. Is she cringe or based insofar as, like, the Twitter presence? Because whenever I discover a lefty video essayist who makes good content, it's just like... Clicking on their, like, a link to look at their Twitter is like playing Russian roulette. Does that make sense? Like, I could keep watching more of this person's videos, live in blissful ignorance of their Twitter presence, and just enjoy their videos. Or I could take the risk and click their Twitter link. Either I will see they have me blocked, or they follow and are retweeting people that despise me, or I potentially get a follow back out of it from a content creator I really appreciate. And that's always nice. She doesn't have Twitter? That's the best news I could have possibly heard. That is the best news I could have possibly heard. Based. Merrick follows her on Twitter? Oh wait, she does have a Twitter? Also, Merrick follows everybody. Merrick is like the most charitable and forgiving person in like the lefty Twitter sphere to a fault. Alright, let me read some donos real fast. You guys are already dropping... You're airdropping these donos like oil. You're just oiling. You're oiling me up. You're just greasing me up with this crude oil and sliding me down into the money hole. I don't know. I don't know how... I'm trying to come up with a good, funny way of saying you guys are donating a lot of money. Ew, why oil? Because when somebody has a lot of money and they donate a lot to a streamer, they're called an oiler. I think it's like a reference to the concept of like an oil prince. So you guys are just lubing me up in crude and sliding me into the money hole where the money is. Actually, speaking of the money hole, do you guys know those like Vegas casino like dollar bill inside of like a glass tube or something, air blowing thing where you go inside and you're supposed to grab the dollar bills? I watched a video the other day of like how you're meant to do that. And I'm assuming this is how you're meant to do it, because this guy walked out with pretty much every dollar bill in the thing in his arms. Is he just went into the thing, and he stood there with his arms cradled out like this, with maybe like 3 inches of space between his arms that he has like out out in a hugging motion and his chest, and he just stands there. And as the money blows up into like his body, it gets caught on his arm and then eventually starts piling up to his chin. The money starts piling up. It's just getting blown there. He doesn't have to move. He just sits there like this, and the money just starts piling up to his chin. By the time it turns off, the dude's literally got like a stack of money that he's literally got to do this because the money is such a big wad of cash he's managed to accumulate in that thing. So you're not supposed to reach out and grab the bills and like shove them in your shirt or whatever. You're just supposed to stand there and do this. So if any of you get the opportunity to do that, then apparently that's how you do it. Sorry, saying you gotta be based for two more years before I have money I can give you. I have $6 and a bowl of ramen. I hate college so much. Do not worry, and do not even think about donating to me if you can't afford it. Only ever donate to me if the money you would be donating to me is like your very, very, very much expendable income. You should never be dipping into your own like needed money in order to donate to a streamer. Watching the content and being, you know, supportive and nice in chat is enough. When can we have free college already? Not anytime soon. Not as long as Republicans exist. And probably not as long as the establishment Democrat base exists. Like, the current, like, Democrat establishment probably isn't very... Honest, not free college, but definitely in favor of close to free college. A lot of, like, even your average, like, centrist-ish kind of Democrats aren't these days. Not free college, but, like, cheaper college. Much more affordable college. Pretty much, any Democrat is better than, like, almost any Republican. Like... Kristen Sinema might be worse than, like, McCain. Maybe? Although McCain was also really bad. I don't know. There's gotta be, like, 1 or 2 Democrats that are, like, cringe and bad enough that they're just barely worse than, like, the least bad Republican. Like, there's gotta be 1 or 2 Republicans that are, like, just kind of boomer establishment fucks that are not pure evil to the core. The Republican governor of Vermont is actually pretty based. Well, there you go. Phil Scott. Well, to be fair, is that like a running as a Republican for the meme, but you're still like not a Republican ideologically type situation? Or is he like actually a Republican who believes in the party? Vermont is based. It's also really pretty. I would love to go to Vermont someday and see what it's like. I've been to New England before, but only along the coast. I've been to New York and Boston and Philadelphia. And I think the furthest I got was Maryland. Was the furthest north that we went? Maybe further? No, listen, when it comes to those squished together New England states, I don't even remember which order they go up, you know, from south to north. But I went pretty far north. Vermont is just Canada, but not based. I didn't get up to Vermont. Yeah, it's really up there. I think it borders Canada. Oh, he's like a unironic small government type? Okay. I mean, certainly not demonic, I guess. He supports BLM, trans rights, etc. So an unironic libertarian. Big union guy too? Okay. So like a based lowercase L libertarian. Respectable. Damn, I'm late because I showered for once. Real Zan fans put the stream on their phone, put their phone into a Ziploc bag, and watch the stream in the shower. You could have done that. Just saying. My phone was cracked. Ziploc bag. My phone's also cracked. How would you get sound, though? Do you think Ziploc bag plastic is soundproof? I assure you it is not. Nice. Hey, I get it. I went to Western California University for the same exact reason. Wait, hold on. YouTube chatters are just having conversations with each other. I don't know why I read YouTube chat. All right, I'm going to read some donos real fast because I want to get into segments. But actually, after donos, I want to talk to you guys about one thing, and then I want to do some segments. Dark Excalibur 42, god damn, thank you so much for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. That is very generous, and I'm sure Mean Cherry, Noonfish, Pink Sheep, Barbie or Baby J, and Maurice Bear appreciate it as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is $15 Redinos right there. Very kind. Said, you should check out the System Shock remake that released recently. I might. I don't know much or anything about System Shock, but I hear people talk about it. Maybe it's interesting. I'll give it a look on YouTube. I know WoW's up first, but after, it'd be cool to see you play a classic game like that. Perhaps, maybe. I've got a few other games on the list that I need to finish that I already started on stream. Destroy All Humans 2 remake, etc. Dead Space 2 remake, but maybe. I definitely have, you know, games that I want to get to after those as well, but eventually I'll run out. Thank you for the $25, or not, that's not 15, that's 25. My math is bad. Thank you for the $25. My bad, Dark Excalibur, I really appreciate it. And then Orange Snow Fox, thank you for the tier 1 give us up to Dr. Boson. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure Dr. Boson does too, or Boson. I assume it's supposed to be Boson. Yeah. But yeah, Dr. Boson. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5. I repent for my sin of spelling amazing wrong. Thank you. That's based. It is amazing and not amazing. That is a false spelling, and we are going to transform the English language. Language is malleable, and by the time that I have died in the dictionary, amazing will be amazing. SC, thanks for the $2 super chat over on YouTube, says, you joke about the Ziploc bag, but I've done that. I wasn't joking. I was actually giving good advice, but thank you for the $2, SC. And yeah, I wasn't kidding. Like, phone in a Ziploc bag, and you can listen, as long as you're not, like, dousing it in water, right? Like, it's to keep the condensation and, like, droplets that could splash on it away, you know, out of it. Like, if you have somewhere to set it, like, you can watch a YouTube video or listen to music in the shower if you put your phone in a Ziploc bag. And if it's like one of those legit Ziplocs where it has the sliding thing, that's even better. But yeah. Avalon of Babylon, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to CoinDog. Very kind of you. Thank you for the $5. Says, if you're the same CoinDog who remixes Vosh, you deserve this. That is the same CoinDog. And also has remixed me. Also, Zan Riverboat Jack said she's willing to fly over to collab with you. CTAC nerds... Dits are on you. CTAC nerds, dits are on you. Well, I can talk to Riverboat Jack about doing a collab. That'd be pretty cool. Like, I'm down to hang out with Riverboat Jack. I want to do more, I want to do, like, a proper range video, and Cherry's still working on the one that we did the other day as, like, a trial run of that. But I don't have a good camera yet. Like, I don't have a proper video filming camera. I have a cracked, busted phone, and that can only do so much. So once I've got a proper camera, expect to see me making a lot of use out of it for making a lot more like IRL, collab, vlog type content that's much higher quality. Unfortunately, I can't put a Ziploc bag over my hearing aids to hear the videos/music in the shower. You know, sometimes I forget there are people that do not have the same level of like capability in some respects as you, and my advice might not apply always. Thank you for letting me know about that. Well, in that case, hearing aids. How would you keep hearing aids dry in the shower? Hold on, I've got a solution here, okay? Here's what you would do, okay? You get ear muffs, like the big, like the plastic and like what's it called? Like the ones for like shooting, like the ones that you would wear at the shooting range. I imagine some of you have been to the range, so you would know, like those ones that you could just put on, no electronics in them, just basic over-ear earmuffs, right? Put your hearing aids on under those so you can hear the music, and that'll keep, like, water from getting to them after you've washed your hair, because you can't get that wet. I feel like that would work. I feel like risking hearing aids is a bad idea. That is... I am trying to give advice that applies, okay? I ran out of letters in the dono, sorry. You and the other streamer nerds in the greater Seattle-Tacoma area. The details are on that, like, when to fly down are on you guys. Also, she didn't seem to hate the idea of going to the range. Hell yeah. I love range videos. I love going to the range. I love shooting guns. I do. I really do love shooting guns. If you guys haven't shot a gun before, you should really make time for it. Like, put it on your bucket list if you haven't before. Hypers in chat if you've never shot a gun before. I'm curious how many people in chat have never shot a gun. Ollie with AB has definitely shot a gun. Oh, okay, so we've got a fair few people in chat who've never shot a gun before. Haven't shot, but soon. Damn, quite a few of you have never shot before. Alright. Chat. For those of you guys who have never shot a gun before, but you want to, go online. If you've got the money for it, this is what you can do, alright? You can go online. Well, ideally you would have like a friend, like a trustworthy, responsible friend, or a trustworthy or responsible family member who knows guns and has guns that can just take you to the range and teach you how to shoot. Like, that would be ideal. But if that's not a scenario that you're in, what you can do is literally just check online for local ranges in your area. Many shooting ranges on their website, once you find it, will have listings for prices on classes they offer, where you can pay a very reasonable amount of money. Like, it's a lot less than you would think, and you just go in for a couple hours and you get to shoot some guns, and a professional teaches you how to do it properly and safely, and they're right next to you, making sure you don't do anything wrong. You're not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to be confused about what to do and fuck up. You literally can just go do that. You don't have to, fill out any... Well, you might have to fill out forms at the range. But, you don't have to... It's not like a legal form. It's like a... Yeah, I understand the safety rules kind of thing. You don't have to, buy a gun or do the gun verification stuff when you go to a range to learn about it, right? Also, for the love of God, do not wear politically oriented clothing at the range, you insane people. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend wearing, I wouldn't recommend wearing, your Xander Hall merch to the range. I feel iffy, when I go to the range and some guy who looks like a Proud Boy is there, and I'm like, that guy's got the Proud Boy haircut. There's a good chance that guy knows who I am. Oh, boy. I need it now. What's the Proud Boy haircut? Oh, you guys will know it when you see it. Hold on. It's the white supremacist haircut. There is a very decent chance that somebody is a white supremacist if they have this haircut in particular. When you see a motherfucker who's got this haircut at the range, you keep your eye on them. Also, you should be keeping your eye on everybody at the range, because you may be very proficient and very safe and responsible with firearms, right? Here's the thing, though. That may not be true of everybody else at the range. Okay? That is likely not to be true of everyone else at the range, you know? You have to be on the lookout for other people fucking around. There could be a guy 100 feet to your right, flagging you, and you don't even know because you're loading a magazine. You got to be looking around and seeing, like, are there any goobers here at the range? Are there any goobers? And keep your eye out for the goobers, you know? Because you don't want to end up getting, you don't want to be the victim of a, negligent discharge. Last time I went to the range, a boomer flagged me across the gut with a loaded 10mm 226 Legion. Well, that fucking sucks. Yeah, not fun getting flagged at the range. It's not the nicest feeling. It's not the nicest feeling for sure to have gun pointed at you. I've been flagged at the range too. It's not great. All right. Beta Leafy, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Very based dono. Says, had I had an opportunity in elementary school, but I was... Wait, had I had an opportunity... Oh, you had an opportunity to shoot a gun in elementary school, but I was too obsessed with Flappy Bird to be able to do it. You'd rather play... You in elementary... Well, I guess, yeah, elementary schoolers would probably find Flappy Bird more entertaining than shooting a gun. Yeah. Yeah, that's the generation we're in. I'm glad to hear that, though. Thank you for the $5, Beta Leafy. Avalon of Babylon, thank you for the tier 1 gift of sub to CoinDog. I hope they appreciate it. Thank you for the 5 buccarinos. Says, if you were the same coin... Oh, yeah, I already read that one. Sorry. -5. I'm bad at keeping up on these things. Fake Alec Kyle Parker, thank you for the $75 donation. That is very generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Holy crap. Said, I had a dream where you were president. Awesome. That's epic, and I hope that becomes reality. And you annexed Antarctica for $5. Well, I would have started with Canada, so far it's not exactly entirely accurate. Anyway, hope you're doing well. I can't wait for today's stream. Yeah, no, if I was president of the United States, the first place we'd annex would be Canada. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be the 51st state. Zan, please. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not only would we annex Canada, but I would instill the law of prima nocta so that, like, the American people could breed the Canadians out of existence. Full Canadian extinction. The end game. That's the end game. Zan, no. No. I'm sorry, Canadians, but you gotta cope. But for real, if I was president, a lot of conservatives would get disappeared. No. In all seriousness, though, if I was president, I would be doing everything in my power. And then I'd be bullying the entire Democratic Party with my influence to help me to have more power to do this, to enforce the most harsh charges of treason on everybody who participated in the January 6th riots. If they entered the building, if like when they were invading the Capitol, if they stepped foot in the building, then treason, like hardcore, like what we did to suspected communists back in the 60s, treason charges. America executed suspected communists back in the 60s. If they were, we literally executed people who were suspected of treason and like helping the Russians. So yeah, treason charges, the harshest treason charges. We used to be a real country. We gotta get rid of the... Oh my god, Quebec would be the first target. You guys don't... Whoa! Yeah. This is deadass or a proclamation from a Republican governor? Oh, this is based. Vermont recognizes one of its greatest strengths is the diversity of its people, and Vermont has a long-standing tradition of holding the dignity of the individual, supporting legal equality and fair treatment for all people regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, ensuring acts of discrimination and hatred will not be tolerated. Members of the LGBTQ+ community contribute to our state's success and strengths in a great number of immeasurable ways. Yeah, this is just a based manifesto. I don't really know what else I can say about that. Surprisingly based and Republican. I guess in that part of the country, to win as a Republican, you kind of have to be based. Then again, Vermont is pretty blue, but it's also very rural. Like, Vermont has a lot of rural, like, land that's effectively the frontier. Like, if you go outside of a town or city in Vermont, I'm pretty sure it's like the open world frontier map from Assassin's Creed 3. Yeah, Vermont is Bernie's state, yeah. But yeah, holy crap, thank you so much, Fake Alec Kyle Parker. I appreciate the $75. Little Morphine Annie, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Uncle Gumbald. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the 5 buccarinos. Says, this chat is for colored names only, no whites. True. True, no whites allowed. Thank you. I appreciate the tier 1 gifted sub. And Black Rose Jaden, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Turbo, very based, very pog. Thank you for the $5. Says, contributing to the white name genocide as well. Little heart, thank you, I appreciate it. Beta Leafy, thank you for the $5. Very based, very pog, very kind. Said, had the worst month of my life, also watch this vid. Well, because you had the worst month of your life, I will watch this vid, just to make you happy, Beta Leafy. And then Graza Triton, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Said, jammies, thank you for the $5. Hopefully, the jammies are aplenty. And Progressive Frequency, thank you for the $2 super chats. Does a Utah school district ban the Bible? No, not based. I don't think any books should be banned. I mean, within reason. I'm sure there's some stuff that probably shouldn't be in like a school. Hentai magazines are probably not appropriate for a school library, for example. That has happened, though. There have been cases where, like, hentai magazines were stocked in school libraries and it was a thing. I don't know how it happened, but it did. If I were to guess, like, a student brought it and, like, put it onto the shelves, but, you know. Mein Kampf? I mean, I feel like there's, like, value that a history teacher who's, like, dismantling Nazi, like, fascist rhetoric could actually glean from Mein Kampf, right? Like, if you have a teacher who knows, like, understands why fascism is insane, going over that and, like, explaining these like, ideas and these beliefs and where they come from and why they're wrong, I feel like there's value that can be gotten from that. You got me, Ethan Wood. You got me. Chat, I want to tell you guys something. I had a massive headache yesterday, so I couldn't really do much talking. Like, I just did not have, like, the willpower to get into Discord and hang out with my guildmates in the Classic WoW guild, just because I was just not feeling above the weather. So I decided, considering I needed more of a solo experience yesterday for what I decided to do, you know, what game I decided to play, because I was taking the day off, I decided, why not give World of Warcraft Dragonflight, the new WoW expansion, a try. I've been hearing time and time again that it is really, really good, like ridiculously good, arguably one of the best WoW expansions, if not the best WoW expansion, at least so far. I was skeptical. I was definitely pretty skeptical. I was like, you know, like, I don't know. It's still retail WoW. Like, how good can it be compared to Classic, right? Does anyone know... hold on, my nose is so itchy. Does anyone know what his background music is. It reminds me of the music from Star Ocean, the second story. This is actually a remix of the released soundtrack for the unreleased Hytale. Hytale is an upcoming game that I'm extremely excited for, really, really hyped for, the most hyped I've ever been for a game. And they've already dropped a few bits of the soundtrack, so this is like a lo-fi remix of one of the chunks of the soundtrack they dropped. Hytale trying to come out impossible? No, I mean, they've been consistent with where the development is. Like I told you guys, like a while ago, they delayed the game, and they said like the game is probably not going to release until 2025 at the earliest, or 2024 at the earliest. 2025 is the most likely in my heart, like in my opinion, and that has not changed. I mean, to make a good game, you have to, like, put in a lot of effort and a lot of time, you know? It doesn't just happen overnight. And you don't want to release an unfinished, you know, mess of a game, especially after waiting this long. Someone donated this video. That's a classic meme. I didn't recognize the video until he fell over. When he fell over onto his back, I immediately recognized the meme. Because I've seen him cut out and, like, falling backwards like that used in a bunch of meme videos. That's good. That's a good meme. Anyway, as I was saying, I finally tried out World of Warcraft Dragonflight. I did. I tried it out. I already had a level 60 character in my like retail account, you know, because I'd played Shadowlands to max level and stopped after realizing the grind of monotony that was to await in Torghast and the Maw. Not a big fan of that. Wasn't big on it. So I got into Dragonflight. And I spawn in when I get into WoW, and I'm in the Shadowlands, and the game's immediately like, "Hey, you wanna get out of the Shadowlands? You want us to just rip you out of this dogshit expansion and get you to Stormwind so you can start the new expansion?" And I was like, "Yes." So I hit the button, and they just yoinked me right the fuck out of the Shadowlands and put me right back into Stormwind and dropped all the quests I was on when I was doing Shadowlands. And so I start Dragonflight, and I head to the Dragon Isles. And what I was really excited for, and I'll tell you guys this, the thing that always bothers me about retail WoW is the fact that you always have to work a ridiculous amount of time and effort just to be able to fly with your flying mounts in the new expansions. Like in a new land, whenever a new expansion comes out. One of the big gimmicks of this expansion is not only did they overhaul the flying mechanics of WoW in this new area and with these new mounts, but they've also made it so that the whole world is built with having flying from the start in mind. And that they weren't kidding, because you really get flying from the start. Like, they give you your dragon that you fly, like, so fast. And I have been having the most fun I think I've ever had playing WoW Retail. I think I've maybe had a little bit more fun in some cases playing WoW Classic, and that's what I would say would probably be the most fun I've had playing WoW. But this is like a close second to the times I've had in Classic with like big groups of friends. Let me show you guys a little bit of what it's like. I am right now in the capital city of Valdrakken for this expansion. By the way, you'll notice that the world is fucking beautiful in this expansion, like absolutely gorgeous. But if I mount up on my dragon, we can take a look at my, like, I have a fully upgraded dragon, by the way. This is, you can customize every aspect of your dragon, like the pattern of its scales, the color, the horns, the, like, whether or not it has hair, its tail, its wings, everything can be customized. And a lot of what you're doing is, like, completing content to unlock new customization options for your dragon. You can change the saddle, give it armor, change the color of the armor and stuff. But here's the coolest part, okay? Here's the coolest part. Check this out. So, I have fully upgraded dragon flying, which means it's not really much of a challenge for me. It's just more of like an extremely efficient, extremely fun way of navigating. But you have to use momentum in order to maintain a glide. And as you reach top speed, you recharge your vigor, which you use to gain air. It's a bit like Elytra in Minecraft a little bit, but there is quite a bit more to it. It is absurdly fun. I don't know how fun it looks, but as far as playing... Oh. Here, let me turn on the audio. There we go. Now you can actually hear the game. Oh, I'm losing air. Ooh. So yeah, this is, ridiculously cool. And this opening patch, and honestly the whole new zone and just everything about it, my rare scanner add-on keeps popping off. Everything about this expansion is just so fun, and the dragon riding complements it extraordinarily.
Look at all these ancient Titan relics scattered about. Never pass up an opportunity to study the past.
A lot of shit's popping up for me to do. But I'm level 69, and I've been having a lot of fun playing Dragonflight and flying around and doing shit and customizing my dragon. It is really fun. Okay, I need to stop now. It's really addicting. Like, sometimes I'll be doing...
has fallen under siege.
Oh, flew through that.
The invading forces.
It's just so fun. This looks so fun, oh my god. Who here, like, hasn't played WoW in a long time and is like, whoa. And you have to, like, upgrade your dragon. Like, when you start out, you're not going to be able to do what I'm doing now. Like, not by a long shot. The way that you upgrade your dragon is by collecting these coins that you'll find around the map. Like, they're in very central locations of the map, and it incentivizes you to explore and find creative ways to get your dragon up high, because you have to get really high to grab them. And so you have to, like, get really good at maintaining air and even gaining air with your dragon's vigor being very low. And then eventually you get it maxed out, and you get to do what I do now, because this is maxed out. Like, I can fly practically indefinitely as long as I do it right, so it's really cool. Ever play the old Warcraft games? No, not myself. No, I have not. But yeah, I'm gonna land on this tower here and hop off WoW Retail because I just wanted to show you guys what I've been up to. Oh, there's a dragon here, fellow blue dragon. Anyway, it is a goddamn riot playing WoW Dragonflight. It has been so fun. I have been having a ridiculously fun time. So yeah. I wonder if that convinces anyone in my chat to pick WoW Retail back up. That looks so incredibly fun. The dragons are beautiful. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. Wait, we might be talking about different things. Are you talking about students or just random? Okay, hold on. You're talking to someone else in chat. I'm just going to cover up YouTube chat because sometimes I read it on accident. And it's never on topic. Did you see how Sweet Baby Gang started? It's super creepy. Wait, how did Sweet Baby Gang, like the Matt Walsh inside joke, start? Explain the lore to me, Cryptid T. I'm curious. I'm scared to get into WoW again. I'll lose so much time. Yeah, I get addicted as well, but, you know, you just have to kind of rip yourself away from it to do what you gotta do. It's a Facebook group. A fan took a picture of their baby kid dressed as Matt Walsh, I think. How is this guy walking the streets? How is this guy walking the streets? How is this guy free? This man is out there. Scary. We live in scary times, chat. Groomers are everywhere. This is the origin. I don't want to see the video. I'm sorry. I don't want to see the video. I don't want to see the video. I don't need that in my brain. A couple on the group also invited Matt Walsh to be their godfather. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you look at like the other shows Matt Walsh goes on with the Daily Wire, they review fan videos. The Daily Wire has, like, actually has a dedicated fan community, and they've got, like, dozens of fan theme songs. Like, Matt Walsh has, like, half a dozen or more fan-made theme songs about how he's so based and he makes the liberals mad. It's actually wild. They have a very dedicated fan base, which is not something I would have expected. Yeah, kind of like what I've got, like how I have my fan-made theme song. Yeah. Check this out. What is this?
Hey guys, so I just wanted to make this video to let everyone know that I've grown as a person, you know, I've changed as a person and realized that some of the stuff I did in the past isn't okay. And yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that. Yo, he's a fucking pussy now. Yo, he's a fucking loser, bro. What a fucking simp. He's such a simp that I bet his girlfriend fucks him. Like his girlfriend fucks him, but like in a gay way. Yeah, he has sex with his wife, but it's gay, and he's gay, and I, oh fuck, and I bet he fucking sucks dick from other guy. I bet he dick sucks too. Yeah, he definitely fucking sucks dick. Fucking, yeah, bro, we're so cool. Yeah, I know we're so cool, bro. Yeah. I'm gonna say the N-word. I'm
gonna... Why is it so accurate? Why is it so fucking accurate? Wait, who's that guy in the background? Sam Hyde. Yeah, that's like a parody of like Sam Hyde fans watching the iDubbbz apology video. Very accurate. Very, very accurate. Beta Leafy, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. Said, I'll never forget the time when my economics teacher accidentally called my teacher a Nazi, and the students in my class gifted said teacher a copy of Mein Kampf. The teacher was a leftist and loves Ra. R.A. I don't know what that was gonna say, but I appreciate the $5, and that sounds like a funny story. Thank you. I appreciate it. Saru, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. So here you go, Zan. Well, thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. And then Balthazar, my friend, with the $5 donation, said, I have cookies, also funny video. Let's check this out. Balth. No. Balth, I can't play this on stream. Balth. The video... you can't... It literally has the N-word in it. I can't play it. I'm sorry, Balth. I would play it, but you elected to send a video that has the N-word in it. It's from like a... But a black guy says it? That doesn't matter. I can't knowingly play the video or I'll get memed. If it comes out of nowhere, then it's reasonable that like, it's not my fault. But if it's like, oh, this video is clearly about that, then yeah. Balth, you gotta stop. Alright, let me update the dono goal really fast. Wait, no, we've done this before, though. I've sent videos, and you've watched them with the N-word. Well, I didn't know they were gonna be... I didn't know it was gonna be in it! Like I said, there's a difference. Fine, I'll find a 40k meme. Okay, find a good 40k meme. Well, yeah, YouTube isn't run by people. It's run by, like, random robots that just kind of skim your videos and decide whether or not you get nuked. But on top of that, Twitch is very testy. Twitch is very, 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 very testy. So I'd be risking 2 platforms at once. Here's a good 40k meme.
Uh-oh.
Why would it open there? There we go.
Answer me. We're about to be overrun by demons.
Yep.
If they don't kill us, the Inquisition will. Kinds of chaos to do that.
Most likely.
Bring it on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Humanity's pretty hardcore in 40k. Australia is just upside down Germany? Kinda. That's kinda true. It's actually upside down Florida bigger. And with desert. With a lot of desert in it. Like if Florida was so big that the inland could have desert. Which it would. If Florida had more of an inland, it would be like an inland desert as you got further inland in Florida. If, like, Florida was, like, wider and longer. Basically, if Florida had more length and girth, if America's cock, that is Florida, was a bit more well-endowed, like, the center part of Florida would be like a strip of yellow from space, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty certain that's the case. I mean, if you go to Florida, if you've ever, like, lived in Florida and you've gone, like, inland and you've, like, kicked up some like, leaves, you'll see it's all sand and, like, it's dry as fuck unless, like, rain clouds come in. I feel like it would be desert in most of that area that's now just, like, big open fields in Florida if there was just a lot more, you know, land. I got taken by YouTube, but not the other racy song that person played. Got taken by YouTube, but not the other racy song that person played. What? I know what you're referring to, transgender gal. Australia is a fucking container. Do not disrespect us with the Florida comparison. Ah, yeah, you contain all the insane monsters. Yeah, that is true. There are some monstrous creatures that live in Australia. There are also some pretty cute ones, like koakas. Koakas are adorable, and they live in Australia. You're containing those from the rest of the world. You don't get to keep those to yourself. Black Rose Jaden, thank you for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Said, the origin of Sweet Baby Gang comes from a video of a woman complaining about people wearing PJs in public. She addresses her audience as sweet babies. Found it out researching for my vid. Oh, that's where it comes from? But why would Matt Walsh base his like community's name off of that though? Like where's the connection there? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for the $5, Black Rose Jaden. let me update the dono goal really quick, and then we're going to get to topics. We're going to start a segment. Thank you so much for the support today, guys. You've been awesome. Alright, there are dogs barking outside, so I'm going to shut the window. Dogs be barking. Worst part about watching segments live is I can't watch the video later. Well, I mean, you could still watch the video later. You know, you could just leave it on. The dogs just want to be on the stream. Yeah, but they're loud. Kawaka? Yeah, there's a video of a Kawaka if anyone wants to see it. Dark Excalibur 42 posted one. Alright, let me get the first segment ready. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1. Action. Well, guys, as you all should know by now, Donald Trump is running for president once again. We're gonna have to deal with this motherfucker for a whole nother electoral cycle. You guys ready? I mean, assuming he loses, we have to deal with him for just another electoral cycle. He could win. There is still a reality where he wins, and we have to deal with him for another 4 years, which, on one hand, would be very entertaining, and on the other hand, would be fucking monstrous. I'll let you guys weigh, you know, the benefits and the downsides of Trump winning. But you guys by now should know he's obviously running again in 2024. And running against him as, like, the foremost second-place running person. And let's be clear, it is not a close second place. Not by a long shot. You know, figure running for the Republican seat as president is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. A goddamn demon. He is a monster. He is horrific. I hate Ron DeSantis. I despise him. But he is not looking good when it comes to his chances of winning against Trump. The Republican voter base, for the most part at this point, is as insane as Donald Trump. There is still a fairly decent amount of non-QAnon tier Republicans out there that are kind of disillusioned by Trump, but they do not make up a large enough portion of the Republican voter base for the Republican nominee to actually, you know, try to market themselves to that group of Republicans rather than the crazies that love Trump. And those people who love Trump, the crazies, they are live and die by Trump, right? Like, they are not abandoning him. That said, though, there has been a new challenger that has entered the arena, and I don't think it's going to change a goddamn thing. Not a single thing. I don't even know why he would try to do this unless this is just him trying to pave the way for future runs. But former Vice President Mike Pence will announce he's running for president next week and will face off against Donald Trump. The Republican Party is scared. Within the leadership of the Republican Party, you've basically got a split of like 70% establishment Republicans who have had to spend the last 8 years or so playing into the bullshit that Trump is doing and defending him and carrying water for him. And the other portion, like the other 30% of the Republican Party, are your Marjorie Taylor Greenes and your Lauren Boeberts, who truly are 100% ride or die by Trump, right? And that portion of the Republican Party, the ride or die Trump portion, are the most loud, outspoken, insane portion of the Republican Party. The other portion of the Republican Party, chances are you don't even know their names. Maybe you've heard their names before, but you can't think of them off the top of your head because they keep their heads down. And it's that portion of the Republican Party that is deathly terrified of the Republican Party getting dragged even further to the right. Because to the further right the Republican Party is dragged by these crazies, by these Trump fanatics, the less appealing it is to purple voters. People who swing blue or red depending on the election and depending on the candidate. And so this is leading to a very blatant and very obvious and very, like, telegraphed, by the way. Like, this has been very clear for a while now. Schism in the Republican Party. Conservatives in America are split. Not down the middle, but they're definitely split. And I don't know whether or not they're going to be able to come together and unite in time for the 2024 election for them to pull out a win. I don't think Biden is going to win the 2024 election because of his own merits. I think Biden's going to win the 2024 election because the Republicans are going to doom themselves. They are blustering and feigning this overconfidence about how there's going to be a red wave. They did it with the midterms. Big fail. They're doing it with the 2024 election. It's going to be a big fail. They're heavily leaning into culture war topics that they have basically invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in, both in terms of their media pundits like Matt Walsh and Steven Crowder, who push transphobic rhetoric, but as well as their campaign ads. The Republicans spent millions of dollars on campaign ads in the midterms against, like, specifically targeting trans people and specifically trans children, and those campaign ads were unanimously a huge waste of money. Just a massive waste of money. Republicans feel like they're winning the culture war because online it looks like they are. But when it comes to the polls, it just couldn't be further from the truth. The Republicans are not doing the right messaging they need to be doing if they want to win elections. But the internet, the online sphere, especially after Elon bought Twitter and made it look like, you know, conservatism is the only... If you go on Twitter these days and go to the For You tab and you're just a random person, you are going to be inundated with so much conservative and far-right propaganda, you're going to assume that everybody is a Nazi. Like, it's just so many Nazis that how can everyone not be a Nazi when this is just so much of what you're seeing? But, you know, if you can think for a second, you'll realize very quickly, oh, it's just because the Nazi shit is what Elon's boosting, right? And things like that have resulted in the right getting very confident and having a stranglehold on, like, a guaranteed win come this next election, especially with the culture war topic of, like, the gay groomers or whatever, but it's just not working. And I don't think it's going to start working out of nowhere in time for the 2024 election. I honestly think the Republican Party, through a combination of infighting and mismanaged funds and poor messaging, are going to fuck themselves over. And I'm very happy to see it. Matter of fact, speaking of, Donald Trump recently did a speech. Literally just yesterday, at the start of Pride Month, he did a speech. And while I don't feel like watching the entire thing, a user on Twitter named Aaron Rupar put together a sort of sort of a thread of very good highlights from his speech that I feel like we should watch. Zan, you can predict the future. When will my rights as a trans person be okay? Okay. Are you asking me when do I genuinely think, like, trans rights will be at the same tier of acceptance as, like, gay rights are right now? I would say 6 to 8 years. 10 at the most. Like, in my gut, I feel like in 8 years, shitting on trans people in the way that people do now, with the dog whistling and all that, will be a career ender. Like, in the same way that it is for gay people. Like, it'll only be the most insane far-right people with the most dedicated far-right audience spewing transphobia. Like, I think by that point, trans people might be, generally, within, like, progressive spaces, and left-leaning, media and, left-leaning thought, like, considered a marginalized group that one ought to but just by the core principle of being progressive, respect and see as, like, worthy of, validation and, love and whatnot. But, like, obviously, for gay and lesbian people, and obviously bisexual and pan people by, you know, sort of extension of that, obviously there are still a lot of problems, both legally and, socially, that they have to face. But compared to trans people, like, trans people are right now where gay people were, like, 30 years ago. Maybe 40 years ago. I feel like, though, I feel like progress is a little bit exponential. Like, I feel like the fact that there has been so many civil rights movements, especially there's been multiple civil rights, like, pushes, involving, like, sexual orientation. I feel like it's not going to be that... It doesn't need to take decades. It's not going to take decades for trans people to see that same level of acceptance, you know? Not to mention, trans people started a lot of, like, broader LGBT acceptance movements. Like, Stonewall was, like, in large part started by trans people. A lot of, like, going back decades, a lot of, you know, LGBT civil rights movements kind of shed trans people from their advocacy in much the same way that, like, binary, true scum trans people nowadays shed non-binary people and people who use neopronouns or identify with xenogenders from their advocacy, because they see them as dead weight that they don't feel like putting in the effort to, like, hone their ability to defend, I guess. Like, it feels like a lot of people feel like they just don't want to hone their ability to defend the concept of neopronouns, xenogenders, or non-binary gender identities, and so they just outright say, well, I can defend my own identity as a trans person, so I'll just leave it at that. Non-binary people are the trenders, right? I feel like that's a lot of trans people. Or not a lot of trans people, a lot of true scum that are trans people. Anyway, let's get to this Trump speech. Alright, hold on. I should probably pause the hightail music first. There we go. Here's the Trump speech. We're going to start with this first clip.
As an example, Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay, I know that is his middle name, but it never... You know why Republicans... Never mind. You know why they... You know why.
As an example, Barack Hussein Obama got substantially less votes in his second term, and he won. We got more votes than anybody's ever gotten. And we didn't win. Explain that. I can explain it, okay? The problem is...
He's the second.
As an example, Barack Hussein...
So he's already back on his shit? That's good. Filed this under things that never happened.
I have friends, they call me, they want to get it, they want an application. I have friends, they call me, they want to get it, they want an application for citizenship. I said, why don't you just go to the southern border? What are you doing? You have a lot of people that take it very seriously still. I have friends, they call me, they want...
One of my favorite things about Trump, like when he was president, okay? One of my favorite things about when Trump was president was he would do a media engagement and he would make a bunch of claims. And then you would get to go to like PolitiFact or Reuters and just look at a specific article that is just fact-checking his newest speech. And you just get to see false, false, mixed, false, false, mixed, false, 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 mixed, mixed, false, 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 mixed, mixed, false, 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 misleading, mixed, misleading, misleading, false. Like for every claim that Trump makes on the fact-checking sites after he does just a laundry list of lies responded to by his fan base with a torrent of clapping, applause, and cheering. It's just, yeah. Yeah, that's Trump supporters, all right. He's back.
Did it 100% with no changes, with no anything, and you have to have a Second Amendment. And this did it 100% with no changes, with no anything, and you have to have a Second Amendment. And this country without it, I don't know what they'd do. You know, we have places other than like in Iowa, you have places where if you don't have it, it would be a disaster. It would be a travesty for...
Oh, wait, hold on. I wasn't playing... You couldn't hear the audio because I hadn't switched screens. Hold on. This one's interesting. What is he trying to say here? What is the point he's trying to make here? Trump claims not having Second Amendment would be a travesty for death, which is true, actually. Wait, what?
Did it 100% with no changes, with no anything, and you have to have a Second Amendment. And this country without it, I don't know what they'd do. You know, we have places other than like in Iowa, you have places where if you don't have it, it would be a disaster. It would be a travesty for death and safety. I mean, you'd have no safety, you'd have no anything. What would happen? Did it?
Is he... Okay. I can't tell if he's saying, without the Second Amendment, in states where there is crime, people would die and it would be a travesty for them not to have guns to protect themselves. Or if he doesn't know what the Second Amendment is and is speaking about it super generally, because if he's specific, then people might realize that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he doesn't know what he's talking about, and we can tell. And he did a bad job of making it look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Or he's gone literally senile. Dude, could you imagine Biden versus senile Trump on the debate stage? Did Biden say he wasn't debating Trump? Or did he say he wasn't doing debates for, like, against primary candidates for the Democrat presidential nomination? He is debating Trump, right? Biden is. Could you imagine a dementia having Trump versus Biden? Dude, the amount of money I would pay to witness that. That's heaven. That is heaven. Dude, check it out. Trump lies so much. There's a whole wiki article about how truthful he is. Veracity of statements by Donald Trump. We can see his rate of false claims. Man, he really peaked in October 2018 with his lies. These are the weekly lies he would tell publicly. Weekly lies, that like provable weekly lies from the president, okay? So back in January 2017, he was telling like half dozen, maybe 10 or 12 lies a week publicly. He brought it up to around 30 by this is like at the start, right, when he got inaugurated in January 2017, right? So in January, he's telling a few lies. He's telling some lies, right? You get into a second month, okay, he's telling some pretty serious lies now. A little bit less the next month, a little bit more the next month. All right, we're getting a little crazier. Okay, we're on a steady, like, 10 to 30 lies publicly per week. But then, or per month. Well, actually, no, these are the weekly lies per month. Averaged out weekly lies per month. Guys, I don't... This is hilarious. The fact that this exists is hilarious. And you can see in the lead up to the election, he really spiked up. Jesus Christ. What happened in 2018? What happened in 2018? You know what might have happened in 2018? Oh, midterms maybe? Could have been the midterms. But you know what was also happening in October 2018? Like the end portion of 2018 was, I'm pretty sure that was when net neutrality was getting revoked. And that was something that even a lot of conservatives were not happy with Trump about because he appointed Ajit Pai as the head of the FCC. So it could be a mix of midterms and that, maybe? Because everybody was shitting on Trump for that. Everybody. No one was happy about that. Yeah. God, I do miss the little mini game that I would play of, like, counting up how many lies Trump expelled in his most recent speech. Maybe we'll get some more.
And they ought to look at his past record, by the way. Take a look at, and they ought to look at his past record, by the way. Take a look at his past record.
Thank you for giving us Kim Reynolds for governor of Iowa.
Good. That's right. I hate to say it, without me, you know she was not going to win. You know that, right? I gave you a couple of them. Without me, they wouldn't have won. But I gave you some good people. You have some good people here. And they ought to look.
That is true. He's not wrong. He knows that he basically uses his influence to, like, not really nepotism, I guess, because they're not related, but, like, to basically astroturf a figure into prominence, right? Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. These people rode on Trump's coattails into the positions they're in now. We got another one here. We got another clip.
It's gone sick. And I don't like the term.
It keeps starting every time at, like, maxed out volume.
It's gone sick. And I don't like the term woke because I hear woke. You know, it's like just a term that half the people can't even define it. They don't know what it is.
Wait, true.
It's gone sick.
Holy shit, true. I feel like this is Trump hitting at Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is fully on board with the, like, conservative, anti-woke, and, like, culture war shit. Like, he is one of those conservatives. He is playing super hard into the already existing internet culture war, but it doesn't work. Donald Trump creates the culture war. Donald Trump creates the talking points. Donald Trump creates the narrative. He doesn't find a thing on the internet and, like, go with that. He creates it. It comes from him and his actions. Even when he does adopt something from the internet, it's something from the internet that exists because of his influence. Yeah. I feel like that's him taking a snap at Ron DeSantis. And I do feel like that's probably the biggest difference between Ron DeSantis. Like, if we look at Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and Pence, then this is what we're going to get. Ron DeSantis is the guy who is desperately trying to be the new Trump by playing into, like, the internet culture war memes to try to win elections. It's not working. Like, millennial and boomer and Gen X and onward voters just don't understand what it's about. They don't care. They're not concerned. And a whole lot of them know gay or trans people themselves and know they're not evil. So it's just the rhetoric that they're groomers and pedophiles and they need to be put down or wood chippered or whatever these people say. It just isn't going to resonate with a lot of these people. Donald Trump, on the other hand, creates this air of charisma for people who are likely to vote Republican. If you're voting Republican at all, then chances are the type of person Trump is attracts you insofar as a leader, right? You're probably the kind of person who sees the type of guy who steps on everybody below him to get to the top as, like, somebody to admire. Like, that's the kind of, like, if you talk to somebody who votes Republican, somebody who's a conservative, and you ask them about, like, or see their opinion on somebody, like, a lot of conservatives, for example, love Martin Shkreli. A lot of conservatives love that guy. They think he was just doing what he had to do, you know? Sure, he's a scumbag. Yeah, he's a scumbag, sure. Shouldn't be in jail, though. A lot of them think he shouldn't be in jail. A lot of them even praise him and think that he was based. Simply because, you know, he's just getting his bag. He's so hateable. Yeah, he's evil. It's fucking evil. It doesn't matter, though. A lot of conservatives see somebody taking advantage of the system to get by, even if it involves, especially if it involves stepping on other people, as, like, a admirable thing. Like, yeah, that guy, yeah. You know, the types of people who vote Republican are likely to respond to that type of behavior positively and see that as like something that someone they like does, right? Not as like a negative action, not as a negative trait. And that's why so many Trump supporters are like, they're not going to have their minds changed by anything Trump says or does. Trump said it himself. He could walk in Times Square and shoot somebody in the face for no reason, and his supporters would still vote for him. They see the way Trump acts as punching up? No, they don't. I think a lot of them see it as punching down, and they don't care. I think they see punching down as funny. Like, yeah, if you don't want to be punched down on, then you should have gotten up. That's the mindset that a lot of them believe. Like, you really have to look at, like, conservative comedy and conservative, like, podcasts where they're not making propaganda. They're just conservatives hanging out, being honest with each other about their beliefs. Look at what they joke about. Look at the points they make to each other. And and it doesn't even have to be Nazis, just kind of like your average, like, chuddy, somewhat conservative-leaning people. And you see, like, how they talk about, like, general developments in politics and their commentary. Recently, I watched a podcast, and the hosts of this podcast are not, like, super right-wing or anything. They're, like, gamer bro chud types. Their reaction to Ron DeSantis doing the Martha's Vineyard stunt was like, yeah, DeSantis really owned those fucking, those Democrats, huh? Those hypocritical Democrats, like, completely fell for the intended... They had the exact intended reaction Ron DeSantis wanted people to have. To say, oh, the Democrats didn't bend over backwards to do everything that we claim the Democrats want you to do for immigrants. Well, clearly they're hypocrites. They fall for that kind of shit because Ron DeSantis, for all of his faults, is a Republican, and he, on some level, does know how Republicans think. And doing something evil like that, as like a gotcha, resonates with Republican voters. They're the types of people who see a gotcha like that as a good thing, as a big win. It's what, like, of all of, like, say what you want about Ron DeSantis getting owned, but, like, and he is getting owned. Let's be clear, he's getting owned by Trump. One of the most popular stunts he's pulled, like, among Republicans, even Trump supporters give him props to the Martha's Vineyard stunt. They see that as, like, a heroic thing that he did. Like an epic troll he did on the Democrats. Hey, tipster. So, yeah. I'm excited to see the villain worship culture evolve within the Republican Party as we get closer to the 2024 election. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. Good segment? Hell yeah. I'm going to go to the fridge and grab a water and go pee really quick, because I do have to use the bathroom. My bladder do be full. Who up pissin'? And I've got another good segment for you guys next. Consider sticking around while I'm gone. It'll only be for a minute. You just get the segment prepped. All right. Nice. Okay. The Sayer of the Law, thank you for the $5 donation. Very kind of you and very helpful. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me update the dono goal really fast. And read your dono. It has been 3 years as of today since I found you. I thought you were soy and started to hate watching you. That's where it starts. It's the It's the hate watching is where it starts. After that, I stuck around because I realized you were usually right. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that, the Sayer of the Law. I'm glad you like the content. I'm curious if it was like, I wonder sometimes, because I obviously have conservative hate watchers, right? They're just kind of lurking, watching the stream. There's no doubt a couple watching now, at least. I wonder often, because I think that from time to time, I do a pretty good job of just demonstrating objectively, inarguably, like, true, like, reality, you know, studies and whatnot that back up my claims. I oftentimes wonder if the conservatives who actually, like, hate watch, if they're getting exposed to so much of my, like, arguments that eventually it's actually, like, getting through to them and they end up, like, listening to it and realizing, oh, hold on a minute, he's not just, like, calling everybody he disagrees with Nazis, he's, like, backing up his arguments with, like, sources and stuff. I don't know, I wonder if, I oftentimes wonder about that, and I'm glad to hear that sometimes it does happen. So yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. So yeah, if you're watching right now and you guys want to support the stream, consider dropping a like. A single thumbs up really does go a long way. I really do mean that. Just hitting that thumbs up over on YouTube. It really does help the stream a lot. And of course, you can also subscribe and ring the bell icon over on YouTube to make sure it tells you when I go live or upload a new video. You can buy merch, you can donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website like Black Rose Jaden just did. And yeah, no matter how you support me, it really does help, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you all. Black Rose Jaden, thank you for the $5. I really appreciate it. Said, sorry if I'm annoying. Oh, you're not annoying. Though I am waiting for your dono to come back, because it seems to have disappeared. There it is. Sorry if I'm annoying. I don't want to be a dead horse. I just feel bad since I ran out of room in my last dono message. Plus, couldn't say Matt Walsh reacted to the video of the girl saying sweet babies. Ah, okay, so that's where it comes from. Okay. Well, thank you for the $5. No harm at all. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm told by a credible source that she contacted a few attorneys in the past with interest in suing me, but... And no callback to no case. Oh, what's going on? Like a lawsuit? Jesus Christ. I'm glad it doesn't seem like you're actually getting sued, Tipster. Jesus. Alright. Well, I'm going to go ahead and update the dono goal, and then I'm going to go pee and grab a water from the fridge, because I am thirsty, and I ran out of water. BRB. Okay. I've returned. And I got myself a nice cold water. Oh yeah, that'll do it, tipster. That'll do it. Perrin Leodon, thank you for the $10 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Very helpful. Very appreciated. It says, Happy Pride, Zan. Happy Pride to you. I am not in the LGBT community, but I mean, I guess it could be Pride for everybody, you know? It can be straight Pride, too. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. And happy Pride to you. Says, I'm cancer-free, bitches. Hell yeah, I didn't know you had cancer, but I'm glad you don't anymore. That was me willing it out of your body. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm absolutely happy to hear that. Congratulations on cancer-freeness. That's fucking awesome. I very much hope it continues to stay that way for a very, 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 very long time. Let you be cancer-free forever. Or that doesn't sound right. Let Perrin Leodon be cancer-free forever. Wait, who's cancer-free? Perrin Leodon in my chat, who just donated $10. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, and I'm sorry that you got cancer in the first place. I'm sorry you had to deal with, no doubt, chemo and radiation and a bunch of other bullshit. And I'm very happy to hear you're cancer-free, and I hope your remission is permanent. Effectively. As permanent as can be. Alright. Let me update the dono goal really fast. Zan isn't gay? Is that legal during June? I'm just joking. The heterosexuality wafts off you like dry ice. Does it really? Do I really come off as that straight? I feel like a lot of people could mistake me for being like a twink. Yeah? How can you guys tell? What is it about me? I thought you were bisexual? To be fair, I do kind of assume everybody in this space is at least bisexual as well. I've basically operated under the assumption I'm the only cis straight guy in the entire online left, pretty much. Like, in the entire prominent, like, online left sphere, I feel like I'm the only cis straight guy. TBH, I thought Xanderhall was gay for the longest time. Wait, why would you guys think I literally had a girlfriend? You guys, like, that was pretty public. That was very public. Like, why would you assume I was gay? Like, bi would be understandable, but gay? I didn't know you had a How does... there are Zan fans that don't know about all that shit that went down? That's surprising. I guess we have grown a lot. Like, the channel has grown a lot since I broke up with my ex, so I guess... yeah, I guess that's not that surprising. That's kind of fucking crazy, because I've been around here for like 2 years now. Huh. That was in like August? Yeah, I think that was like in August or October last year. Yeah, I guess so. Alright. Y'all ready for another segment? Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Oh boy, oh boy. So if you've been watching Lefty content that's centered around covering the kind of stuff that's happening on Twitter for, you know, a few months now, you might have picked up on the trend of random people who may or may not be entirely honest about their story, coming out as detransitioners, quote-unquote. Let me tell you guys what a detransitioner is, okay? A detransitioner is somebody who at one point was trans, but is now transitioning back to the gender they were assigned at birth. following along, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, because there are a surprising amount of people who watch my videos that, like, get into politics from my videos and have no idea what I'm talking about with these very basic things. So, you know, just for the potentially new people watching. Detransitioners are like, they're people who were trans but decided they are not trans and are transing back to being cis, right? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about detransitioning. It is really, really rare. Detransitioning is extremely rare. Like, very rare. Trans people alone are pretty rare in the grand scheme of things, though overall pretty common. If you took all the trans people on Earth and put them into a single country, it would be one of the biggest countries on Earth. But, you know, as a percentage of the population, you know, quite small. Regardless, though, despite that, an even smaller portion, an extremely tiny portion of trans people ever detransition. As in, they ever feel some sort of regret or something comes up that leads them to the decision to detransition. And of all the reasons that these detransitioners do detransition, the vast majority of those detransitioners detransition because of these, or one or both of these two reasons. One of those reasons is lack of access to resources to transition. So, like, they can't get HRT anymore. So they can't, like, they're just like, they can't get it anymore for a variety of reasons. Or they can't get access to surgeries, etc. They just don't have access to what they need to continue transitioning, so they just can't help but stop. They couldn't continue if they wanted to. That is most detransitioners. The other, second most common group of detransitioners are people who detransition because of external stimuli. Like, they don't have it, like, their friends and family are rejecting them and disowning them and even attacking them, and they require the support of those groups, or at least one of those groups, and they have no other choice but to detransition. That is the other much larger group, or the other less large but second largest group of detransitioners. The other portion of detransitioners, and this is a very infinitesimally small portion of detransitioners, which are a very, 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 very small portion of trans people, are trans people or detransitioners who realize it wasn't right for them and elect that they want to detransition. That is a very small portion, though, like a very tiny portion. However, if you are one of these people, chances are you are very likely to realize, especially if, you know, after learning a lot about trans affirming care and trans rights, no doubt through that process of, you know, falsely believing you were trans, despite how rare this is, chances are you would still respect the concept of trans people, the medical process of determining whether or not someone is trans, and you would still care about the, like, medical and scientific process, right? You wouldn't try to monetize your experience for the sake of pushing conservative propaganda, right? If you were an honest person, you wouldn't do these things, right? Well, here's the thing. The right, which is very, very opposed to trans rights, they have a massive market for detransitioners. The idea of a trans person who realized it was wrong and came back, that is, like, the one of the most perfect targets for, like, creating an astroturfed conservative figure for belting out transphobic rhetoric. And so there is a massive market for these detransitioners, whether it be true or not that they're actually detransitioners, to go online, to write up a big story about how they were trans and they got out of it, and then to dedicate themselves to spewing transphobic rhetoric. It's become quite common. And it's also become quite common to figure out a fair amount of these people were just straight up lying about ever being trans. So, we've got a new one to talk about. So, to add to all the fishiness of this particular poster, this character, not cis, just man, or Alex, which I hate to say is the same name I have, ended up posting this. I am a hashtag detransitioner, and I am done being silent. Bully me and give me all the death threats you want. I do not give a fuck. Fuck the transgender movement. I medically transitioned at 16 and detransitioned at 18. What I have to say to my endocrinologist and therapist is fuck you. Damn. Now, regardless of any experience that a detransitioner has, that does not change the reality of science. And I want you guys to remember that going into this segment, right? So, in response to this post was a reply that's actually pretty interesting. One, you never actually medically transitioned in a distinct way. You only went on T blockers at 16 after years of male puberty and did nothing but pause a bit. And this is true. If you look at the picture of him, you can see here he is before at 16, then on puberty blockers from 16 to 18, somewhere in that area. And this is just like a lot of cis guys, if they took puberty blockers and grew out their hair and wore makeup, they'd look like this. It doesn't take HRT, it doesn't take hormone replacement therapy, which is like actually taking estrogen in the case of a trans person, and a bunch of other like, there's like also other things like other hormones as well than just estrogen. But yeah, anyway, yeah, and then here he is now, looking like a completely just regular cis dude. Like, if this dude walked up to me in public and said hi, I would not in a million years assume this guy was a detransitioner. And the reason for that is, this guy is actually a perfect representation of the benefit of hormone blockers. This guy went on hormone blockers at 16 years old looking like this, then got off hormone blockers at 18, and looks like this at 18, pretty much directly after getting hormone blockers. This is basically just him without makeup and with, you know, shortcut hair. I'm sure there could definitely be other side effects that will take time to pass because, like, it's the same year that he got off of hormone blockers, but assuming he was ever on them in the first place, but I'm assuming this is legit. Like, yeah, this was not in any way irreversible or like a horrific like mark of scarring on this person, even if their story is true. Number 2, this person says, I went on actual hormones at 16 and it cured my depression, anxiety, and dysphoria. I'm now a completely happy adult. And this is the case for the vast majority of trans people. The amount of people who are, say, 16 years old, who have gender dysphoria, whose lives will be saved by hormone blockers, and perhaps even hormones themselves, so vastly outweighs the amount of people who could potentially be harmed by, you know, being overzealously diagnosed with gender dysphoria. It dwarfs it. Like, the wave of teenage gender dysphoria suffering youth that would be benefited from having access to this care is so much larger than the amount of detransitioners who would have been saved, quote unquote, had this gender affirming care never been available at all. Not to mention, by the way, I should also add this, the vast majority of detransitioners who were simply falsely diagnosed with gender dysphoria were never diagnosed with gender dysphoria. A lot of those detransitioners are older. Like old, like old, like wrinkly, white, gray hair old. Because back then, there essentially were no resources for gender-affirming care. A lot of them were literally self-made, quote-unquote, trans people. During a time, by the way, when being, like, trans, being a cross-dresser, and being gay, at least in the cultural zeitgeist, were pretty muddied. Like, who remembers, like, this is mostly a question for straight people, but I'm sure trans people even can remember this. Who remembers, like, the 2000s and probably the 90s, too, when cross-dressers, gay guys, and trans women were all just one blob in the perception of the vast majority of people. It was just one group. Yeah. You're talking about people who transitioned in a time where that was the perception of trans people. For the vast majority of people. I don't know. It, you know, it seems pretty likely that there's a little bit of, you know, a bit of influence there. Anyway, that said, though, this guy's been getting, like, retweeted by Gays Against Groomers, which is a hate group run by straight people who are claiming to be gay. But the funny thing is, he's not blown up at all. He is not blown up. He has not gained, like, a prominent position. He's not making money. He's not having, like, a successful grift take off from all of this drama that he started on Twitter. As a matter of fact, he's gotten so desperate for attention, he's now moved on to doxing his doctor. And of course, all the comments on this post were death threats and, like, people fantasizing about murdering the doctor. This is the lady who provided me with spirolactone for transition purposes when I was only 16 years old. Obviously, this screenshot has censored the docs, but this was them doxing the doctor. And all the comments were, like, calling for the death of the doctor. Like, this doctor should be killed, death penalty, life in prison, were the nicest, least insane comments were calling for life in prison. That's all I think I need to say. The nicest of the comments were calling for life in prison. So yeah. And it wasn't even just, like, the details about the doctor, the doctor's, like, office and business. It was also the doctor's private info, like private info. By the way, I finally got my estrogen chat today, or today chat. Good job, Saliva. I'm happy for you. But yeah, got pretty desperate and decided to move on to, like, inciting potential violence against their doctor in order to try and get things moving, and still only got 600 likes in that tweet. Oof. Yeah, might want to pay for that blue check mark. That'll probably go a long way with the grift. It's only $8, and if you're trying to get yourself in the eyes of everybody on Twitter, you probably want to get that blue check mark. That's the best advice I can give. This seems to me like a very blatant grift. I feel like the vast majority of genuine detransitioners would probably just, like, quietly live their own lives after detransitioning. Like, detransitioners in the scenario described by this person would just go live a quiet life on, like, back to what they were doing. They wouldn't become an anti-trans, like, public figure trying to start a whole career off of it. That alone is the biggest piece of evidence that this person is a dishonest hack. Is that they have now decided to turn their experience into ammo to use against a minority group. Nobody who is being honest or who has good intentions would do that. That's really the long and short of it. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. W, I'm glad you guys enjoy. Let me get the next segment ready. All right, y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1. Action. All right, everybody. This one's probably going to be a bit shorter, but I saw this tweet exchange yesterday, and I just knew I had to talk about it on stream. I knew you guys would get a little bit of a kick out of it. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Daily Wire. It's this massive network that employs a bunch of different far-right figures that you're probably very familiar with. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan, Brett Cooper, Candace Owens. The list goes on. They're all employed by the Daily Wire. They all worked under a network, and they all basically have to toe a certain line of politics for their corporate overlords. And that's basically, like, the company, right? And it's run by a guy named Jeremy Boring. It's not spelled like boring, B-O-R-I-N-G, but, you know, might as well be. Recently, he tweeted this out, and it caught my eye. Twitter canceled a deal with @RealDailyWire to premiere What is a Woman for free on the platform because of 2 instances of misgendering. I'm not kidding. Here's what happened. Thread. 1 of 16. 2 of 16. I'm not going to read the numbers. 1 year ago today, we released What is a Woman. For those that don't know, What is a Woman is like it's the documentary movie where Matt Walsh goes to like a bunch of random places and asks what is a woman. And if they can't, I don't even know, like, if they can or can't define woman, but regardless of what definition they give, he then goes, see, either everybody agrees a woman is an adult human female, or the woke can't give a good definition. Woke bad. Basically, What is a Woman is like the birth of a nation for transphobes, right? It is like the rallying cry piece of cinema that transphobes kind of all have to watch. It's like mandatory transphobe viewing, right? 1 year ago today, we released What is a Woman? To celebrate the occasion and expand the movie's already enormous impact. We decided to give it away for free for 24 hours on Twitter. With Twitter's recent commitments to free speech, we thought it would be the perfect place to distribute the film and drive the conversation forward on one of the most important topics of our day. Twitter responded with enthusiasm and offered us the opportunity to buy a package to host the movie on a dedicated event page and to promote the event to every Twitter user over the first 10 hours. We accepted and signed... Oh yeah, to be clear, Twitter... At least Elon Musk is effectively, like, acting as a Republican, like, conservative collaborator. The whole, like, Twitter space with the announcement of the campaign for Ron DeSantis was very, a very good demonstration of that. We accepted and signed an agreement, and after we signed, Twitter asked to see the film to better understand what parts may trigger quote-unquote users, so they could better prepare their response. They said they were still all hands on deck for launch, so we sent them a screener. Wow. They were going to air like a far-right propaganda movie with a deal on their platforms. They were prepping. He's basically outing that Twitter was prepping a public statement for the inevitable backlash it was going to get for hosting and having a deal to host a far-right propaganda movie. After reviewing the film, though, Twitter let us know that not only could we no longer purchase the package they offer, they would no longer provide us any support and would actually limit the reach of the film and label it as hateful conduct because of misgendering. Ooh. They're so fucking mad. They're so mad. By the way, this movie has far worse than misgendering, okay? The movie has far worse in it than misgendering, okay? Far, far worse. I'm sure that's just the only bit of TOS that directly and most blatantly applied. I'm sure there are many other instances of Twitter TOS breaking. Also, Twitter's application of the misgendering aspect of its TOS is very, very hit or miss. It's very hit or miss. Like, sometimes Twitter is very on top of banning accounts that misgender or do certain things that break the TOS. And sometimes you might just think that there is no more Twitter TOS. The Blacks Posting L's account is still up and still gaining a whole lot of followers on Twitter. Anyway, let's continue. After reviewing the film, though, Twitter let us know that not only could we no longer purchase the package they offered, they would no longer provide us any support and would actually limit the reach of the film and label it as hateful conduct because of misgendering. Specifically, in the film, a father refers to his 14-year-old granddaughter as her, and a store owner uses the quote-unquote wrong pronoun in a confrontation with a trans person. I assure you that is not the only thing that happens in the movie that qualifies as misgendering. We reminded Twitter they removed misgendering from their policy, they did do that the term misgendering itself is misleading, and that enforcing such a policy places them on the side of the most radical elements in society, the side most opposed to their commitment to free speech. Ah yes, having TOS against misgendering trans people is in and of itself bad. Well, I mean, of course, that's what they believe, but yeah. We just reminded them of that, you know? Twitter clarified. Basically what this means is we reminded them, hey, you're supposed to be like a far-right collaboration platform now. Like, what do you mean? You removed this from your TOS. Twitter clarified they only removed misgendering from their policy because they didn't need to be that specific, but that they still consider misgendering abuse and harassment. They gave us the opportunity to... It's because Elon just wanted the clout of being able to say that he did it. Elon wanted the clout of being able to say that he did it, but they still have to enforce that standard for the platform to, like, function on a fundamental level. There would be absolutely no ads on the platform if on some level that standard wasn't applied. They gave us the opportunity to edit the film to comply, and we declined. When we asked how much they would limit the visibility if we posted the film anyway, Twitter replied that our own followers would not be able to see it in their feeds. This, they said, is part of their speech not reach policy. You love to see it. You love to see it. No, this is what you guys wanted. This is what you guys wanted. You guys don't get to come... You guys don't get to, like, 6 months down the road get to say, oh, wait, actually, Elon doesn't represent what we believe in, and this isn't the free speech platform. I'm sorry. You guys spent the last 6 months talking up Twitter under Elon as the new right-wing pro-free speech platform, and now you're taking it all back? Nope. You guys put your eggs all into Elon's basket. And exactly what we said was going to happen is happening. Good luck trying to backpedal this. I'm just surprised Elon Musk's Twitter, of all things, put their foot down on this. I don't really think it's that. I think it's more so that the standard has always been there, probably behind the scenes, for the sake of, like, needing to maintain some level of advertising on the platform. Of course, saying you have the right to speak, but we'll make sure no one hears you is a bit like saying you have the right to cast a vote, but we'll make sure it isn't counted. That's not a right at all. That is not even close to comparable, especially not on a like a private platform. We brought all our shows to Twitter Tuesday. We brought all our shows to Twitter Tuesday because we believed Twitter was committed to free speech, especially on this issue. After all, the Babylon Bee was silenced on Twitter after this very issue, and in part prompted @Elon Musk to purchase the platform. The other tech platforms have already decided where they stand in the trans debate and demonetize and deprioritize all those who disagree. Based, but also not true. Now Twitter has joined the ranks of the other tech superpowers in ensuring one side of the debate is suppressed. @Elon Musk is not beholden to conservatives. He has the right to run his business as he sees fit, but if Twitter is going to throttle one side of one of the most important debates facing society, not according to the fucking polls, it cannot claim to champion free speech. You know, it is one of the most important debates facing society today, but not for the reason this guy thinks it is. But as far as, like, the right's opinion on trans people, the polls are not demonstrating that Americans give a fuck about this anti-trans culture war bullshit. I hope @Elon Musk will reconsider this awful policy. If we can't debate these issues on Twitter, where can we debate them? In a public forum elsewhere? Like, not on Twitter? Like, in public? Like, in private? Like, in the car? Anywhere else in America that isn't a private platform where they have the right to curate what's allowed to be platformed on their private platform? Like, Twitter isn't the government. I know you guys like to pretend it is and kind of like subtly pretend like it is, but it's not. It's unlikely another centibillionaire will come along to offer an alternative. We plan to post the movie anyway tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Will Twitter make good on their threat to throttle it and label it hateful conduct, or will Twitter live up to its great promise? We'll all find out together. Now, Elon responded to this. He did have a reply. And Elon, whenever something happens with Twitter, where it does something that's, like, good, and a conservative figure that's basically making the platform still exist at this point, because, like, the largest figures on Twitter now are all conservative figures, because, like, the blue check mark increases reach. Elon Musk replies, "This was a mistake by many people at Twitter. It is definitely allowed. Whether or not you agree with using someone's preferred pronouns, not doing so is at most rude and certainly breaks no laws. I should note that I do personally use someone's preferred pronouns just as I use someone's preferred name, simply from the standpoint of good manners. However, for the same reason I object to rude behavior, ostracism, or threats of violence if the wrong pronoun or name is used." I like how he had to throw in there, trans people will be violent against you if you use the wrong pronoun or dead name. So yeah, he's basically come and said, okay, for this specific scenario, because you're stirring up so much shit among the audience we'll make it so you can you can play the movie. And of course, Jeremy Boren replies, "I appreciate the reply. We posted the 2 clips flagged by Twitter, and they were indeed labeled hateful conduct, and the share functions were disabled on the post. We are trying to reach your team to determine what this means for those posts, whether or not our event tonight will be allowed to proceed unencumbered, and whether or not we will be allowed to purchase the live event page and reach block as originally intended. I appreciate your view of polite behavior, but our business is to debate public policy and philosophy. As such, we have an obligation to speak in ways consistent with our position. Our hope is that Twitter remains a place where we are free to do so." Remember, guys, Twitter is now a far-right collaboration platform. And as long as Elon keeps doing this, he will only whittle down the supporter base and the user base of Twitter further. Here's Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson's reactions. You got Liz Wheeler saying, "Whoa, not good. Hope Elon Musk rectifies this immediately." Oh man, I wonder why Elon Musk felt so pressured into letting this slide. Megan Kelly saying, "Elon Musk, is this true? Will you please reverse it?" What's up, Elon Musk? Sounds like a misunderstanding. "This behavior by Twitter corporate directly opposes Elon Musk's commitment to free speech, and I sincerely hope he does something about it." Yeah, I mean, Twitter's literally just like a platform being used by the far right, like entirely at this point. Like, there is literally no other purpose to Twitter's existence right now than for it to act as a platform for conservatives to artificially boost their propaganda to the largest audience possible. It's really wild. Really, really wild. Look at Elon's pinned tweet. He's promoting the movie. I already ended the segment. I'm so sorry. But yeah. Apparently Elon pinned the movie as his pinned tweet. Mastodon looking pretty nice right now. Oh, I forgot to mention I got on Blue Sky. If any of you guys have Blue Sky invites yet, and you've gotten on Blue Sky, I've gotten a whole lot of follows and notifications. Goddamn. Check it out. I'm on Blue Sky now. It's basically just Twitter, but before Twitter was owned by Elon, and with a lot less features. It's still in beta, and that's why you have to have like a invite code to join. So hopefully when it fully releases, it'll fucking destroy Twitter, because it's basically Twitter, but without Elon. It's literally just Twitter without Elon. Invite me? I don't have any invite codes yet, sadly. 0 invite codes available. If I have any, though, I'll give them out for free. There we go. We're getting some follows. Look at that. I'm getting the Blue Sky follows now. My first skeet, for those that don't know, on Blue Sky, your tweets are actually called skeets. So my first skeet simply said skeet. Skeet is unofficial? No, it's official. The official name for them is skeets. From the windows to the walls. Check Blue Sky notice, lol. I see, I see. Thank you, Tipster. I appreciate it. Alright, I am hungry, which means it's time to do some video response segments and have a snack. It's time for a little bit of a Hassan stream. Vala the NB, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Very base. Says, hey Zan, I've been a VOD watcher and have finally been able to watch live. I thought I'd chip in and support. You were one of the ones who helped pull me from the alt-right phase, or from my alt-right phase, so thanks. I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you so much for the support, and I'm very glad I was able to help to pull you out of that. And I'm glad you like the content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hemorrhoid King, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Says, couldn't stand a dirty-ass white name? Hell yeah, get yourself colored. White name genocide. Thank you so much. All right, let me update the dono goal really fast. There we go, 185. Thank you, guys. What's up, Heavy Gretel? Good to see ya. All right.
Hey, what's up? Hey. Hey.
I love YouTube not functioning. All right. No, it's 3 arrows. I just couldn't get it to stop automatically playing the video every time I paused it and rewind it. I just love that YouTube can, like, for 4 times in a row, you pause the video, rewind it to the very beginning, and then when you let go of the button, or of the slider, it starts playing the video without your consent. You do that 4 times, and on the 5th try, it works just fine. Oh, God damn it, YouTube. It's so frustrating. Yeah, without my consent. Tipster, thank you for the $10 donation. I really appreciate that. Based in Pog, thank you. Says, thanks for the awesome content, Zan. You helped inspire me to infiltrate the YouTube drama community. Here's a 10. Here's a 10 for being so based. I'm glad that you got your mission completed, Agent. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I'll update the dono goal, and I'm gonna go use the bathroom and make myself a snack. Oh, and Black Rose Jaden, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Vala the NB. I appreciate that as well. Thank you. Says more white name genocide and support for the stream. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been so generous. That is awesome. Thank you guys. All right, I will be right back. I'm going to use the bathroom, and I'm going to heat myself up a snack real quick. And then we're going to start this segment. So I'll be right back in, like, 2 minutes. Be patient. Also, like the stream if you love me. Oh, you guys are so patient. You guys are so patient. Wow. Wow. I've returned, chat. I've fucking returned. Big Catastrophe, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you for those $5 dues. Says, I'm viciously anxious, but I'll be damned if I get mistaken for a right-wing hate watcher. Well, thank you for the tier 1 sub, and thank you for breaking through your anxiety. I mean, it can't really be that hard to make a dono, right? But hey, I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you broke through that anxiety. You're very based, and I'm very proud of you. And I appreciate the dono. Thank you. Very based. Oh, wow. Crafter Lula, thank you for the tier 3 sub. How many months is that? Thank you. Said, it's been a while since I've been able to donate. Good to see your channel's been doing so well. Much love to you and Cherry. Happy Pride Month. Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot. Hot damn, thank you. It's good to see you in chat again. That is a very generous tier 3 sub. If that's a 3-monther, that's even more than I thought it was. Shit, it's 4:10 p.m. or a.m. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the stream. I always end up catching these late. Such a chill, nice atmosphere. Have fun. Well, Catgirl Leah, you're in another time zone because it's only 8:11 p.m. for me. Hey Zan, what's the hottest Rainbow Six Siege operator in your opinion? Gotta know. I've never played Rainbow Six Siege. People kept on saying that, People kept on saying when I posted this video on Twitter, when I shot the CZ Scorpion, I guess that's in Rainbow Six Siege, people said that I played too much Rainbow Six when I posted the video of me shooting the CZ Scorpion on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it.
You got the safety off?
This is my first time shooting it. Why is the safety on the right side of the gun on that one?
Also, when you guys come out, your wife's gonna have to fill out.
You can see I'm confused, like, what is going on with this thing? Because all the shots landed in this little cluster right here instead of right here. When I was aiming here, they all landed right here. This is a rental gun, and the sights, I guess, are maladjusted. Too high, I guess it would be? Like, the sights are too high, like, they need to be lower. Because the shots ended up, like, clustering right here below the target. Pretty tight grouping, but, you know, not very accurate. Because the fucking, but it was very smooth, very enjoyable to shoot. Yeah, I was about to say that the sights aren't zeroed. Yeah, but still a very tight grouping, right? I mean, even though, you know, the sights aren't zeroed, you can still see the very, very tight grouping, and I'm happy about that. Especially for my first time shooting it. Not bad. Anyway. Let me get this next segment ready. You guys know what we'll be doing during the segment. Oh, did Crafty Lula say how many months that was? No, they did not. Well, thank you so much for the tier 3 sub. I'll just count that as a 1-monther. But thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $20. Very kind of you. I'll go ahead and update the dono goal. All right. Okay. There's WoW, and then for some reason, it never actually saves my login info, so I have to enter my login info. I love that for me. I love having to enter my login info every time I launch WoW. I love having to enter all my login info every single time I launch WoW. It's a 1-monther. I'm currently doing chores while watching on my phone. I can't respond much. Oh, good, Crafty Lulu. I'm glad I was able to, I made the right guess. Pog, thank you so much. Larry Banks 78, thank you for the tier 3 sub as well. Said a 1-monther, also 1 month. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That is a very kind $20 right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hot damn. Personally, I feel like this Pride Month will be the most contentious yet. Oh yeah, 100%. Might even surpass last year and will get worse over time. I think this Pride Month will probably be the most tumultuous, and so far as like the right being really angry about it and having meltdowns. But thank you for the tier 3 sub. I really appreciate it. Allow me to update the dono goal really fast. $245. Boom. You guys have been really supportive today. Thank you. I'm gonna hit the Hearthstone to Orgrimmar real fast, chat. No, 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 no. Oh. I was so close to hitting the hearth, too. That's the frustrating thing. I was so close to hitting the hearth. Oh my god. Oh, because I just rezzed. I just rezzed. No. Fine, okay. I'll res the spirit healer. Fine, I'll res the spirit healer. Just get me to org. I don't want to fight shit. Just let me hit my hearth. We're going to start the next segment in a minute. I just have to get to my fishing spot. Because I like fishing while doing the segment. I find it enjoyable and relaxing. And I'm invisible right now because my character hasn't loaded in. There we go. It takes a minute. Well, and I should check something. Yeah, I need to make a quick trip to the bank. Quick trip to the bank. Oh no, my gold pearls didn't sell. That's fine. They will. They will eventually. Alright.
Would you rather trust your goods with a goblin?
That was a bit of a sussy line that orc just said, I'm not gonna lie. That line was just a wee bit sussy. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick scan. I'm gonna do a quick scan to find out how much the eels are going for. Just doing a quick, I haven't gotten on WoW in a hot minute, on Classic WoW in a day, so got a few things to check on. I was playing Dragonflight. Like a retail degenerate. What is this weapon? What the fuck? Trance Blade. Or Tree-Ents Blade, probably. Huh. PvP gear. Or no, it's not PvP gear. It comes from Dire Maul. Huh. Interesting. Cool. Ooh, I wonder... These aren't really going for much right now. Alright, we'll just do fishing. Zan, I saw you on Moonguard. Yeah, me and Ethan started, me, Ethan, and Stu. We started characters on Moonguard, on Alliance. And we're leveling up to Dragonflight. And we picked Moonguard because I want to be able to take Ethan to Goldshire and show him the degeneracy.
I guarantee this bank's security with my own blood. Is that good enough for you?
We picked Moonguard for no other reason than the meme to not go to Goldshire on Moonguard, because we want to go to Goldshire on Moonguard. Yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. That's really about it. Patience, chat. We'll be doing the segment in just a minute. Where's the Griffin boy? There he is. Or not Griffin boy. He doesn't. This guy doesn't do Griffins because this is the Horde. All right. Moonguard Xanderhall confirmed ERPer? Not yet. Emphasis on yet. When you say Ethan, I can't help but think of H3H3 Ethan. That would be cool if me and Ethan from H3H3 were playing WoW together. But no. No, sadly, I don't think Ethan Klein plays WoW. I got myself some food, chat. Chat, you ever just feel like absolute shit, and then you take a bite of food, and the second it goes down your throat, it's just like, you immediately feel better. Just immediately you feel better. The second you take a bite of food. That's what just happened. Like, it just felt like, I just got, like, negative buffs immediately removed from me. Like, I had a bunch of debuffs, and they just got instantly cleansed from me. In an instant, the second I took a bite. Literally eating food and WoW and healing. That's me with soda as well. That's literally my girlfriend. She feels much better after food. I wonder what it is. Could be a blood sugar thing. I don't know. Look how pretty the land of Azeroth is. Imagine not wanting to join my WoW Classic guild. Imagine not messaging either Ellen Degenerate or Balthazar in my Discord server, or Doge Professor, and messaging them in DMs a request to join the guild, along with an introduction of yourself, a small sentence or two about whether or not you played WoW, and how much experience you have if you have, and why you want to join the guild. Imagine not doing that. I don't have WoW. You could get WoW. I know people who literally paid for their WoW sub as a kid mowing lawns. Like, they would literally, like, go around and mow lawns and, like, do other yard work, make the $15 a month, give it to their parents, and their parents would pay for the WoW sub. And $15 a month was, like, a nightmarish amount of money when you're a kid. I never had a WoW sub until I was 18 years old, and I could use my own money to buy it. I remember as a kid, I would just keep making trial characters and leveling them to 20. And then I'd make a new character. And I hoped that eventually I'd make enough gold that I could afford a WoW token. But it doesn't work that way. Because you could only have 10 gold max in your wallet. I'm eating spaghetti, chat. I'm Italian, and I'm eating spaghetti on stream while flying to the spot where I'm going to fish, and we're going to respond to videos from conservatives. Life doesn't get better than this, chat. I remember when my dad bought The Sims 2 for my birthday, and I was so fucking excited. I've never been... Oh my god, it's an Alliance player. Look. I see you, motherfucker. One day I'll be level 60 and I'm gonna gank your ass. Sorry. Yeah, I could never really get into the Sims games. I tried playing a Sims game, I don't even remember which one. That was for the PlayStation 2 as a kid. And I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't one of the Sim City games, I know that. It was a, it was like a proper Sims game. And I just couldn't get into it. All I know is women love those games. Like, if you talk to a girl, and she doesn't play video games, like, at all, she's probably still played a Sims game. I feel like, I don't know, it's like every woman has played The Sims. You're not wrong. I know. Wait, you were being serious? I've had the videos on in the background lately. Has it all just been WoW? In WoW, fishing while responding? Yeah. Yeah, all my video responses lately have been me, like, fishing in game while responding to a video. I've always wanted to try WoW Classic, but my military life makes it near impossible. Oh, you're in the military? Well, yeah, that'll definitely make it impossible. Like, yeah. You will not have, you won't have the time you need. What is Royal Gang? Why is my guild chat spamming Royal Gang? I don't know. It's confusing, and confusing things scare me. Hell yeah, Tauren Supremacy. The best horde race. I adore this zone. You like Tanaris? You're Tanaris pilled? Imagine being cringe and Tanaris pilled. That is cringe. That's hilarious, Karl Marky Marks. Blizzard used to have this reputation for making the most life-ruining games. Like, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Blizzard made nothing but games with reputations for destroying people's lives. Because the games are so good. Now the reputation Blizzard has is for ruining people's lives, but in the worst possible way. Like their employees' lives. Even Overwatch, I would say. Yeah, I remember people were losing their shit when Overwatch first dropped. I remember when Overwatch 1 first dropped and it was the beta. I was watching Immortal HD play the beta of Overwatch 1, and he was really good at it. He was a CSGO player, so he was just kind of inherently good at Overwatch going in. And people loved it. People loved it. It blew up fast. It's true, I had a roommate back in 2007 who never ventured outside his room because of WoW, and there's some days where I do that. There are some days where WoW gets me like that, and it's just like, you know what? Nope. I'm just getting stoned, wrapping myself up in a comforter, and playing WoW all day. That's what my day is going to be today. And I love those days, but it can't be every day. I wish it could be every day, but it can't. If there's a heaven, then that will be every day. But, yeah. Wasn't there someone who died because they played too much WoW? Probably a few people. Sitting for too long will kill you. Though it is pretty hard to get to that point, considering most people have to get up to use the bathroom and stuff. And that guy was, oh, I had to sneeze. I don't remember what he was doing, but that guy was doing something to make it so he didn't have to get up to use the bathroom. He might have literally just been shitting in his pants. I honestly don't know. But apparently, oh, he was wearing diapers? Yeah, he was literally shitting in his pants. So yeah, he wasn't doing anything to, get up. He wasn't getting up at all. And a blood clot, like, formed in his leg and killed him. Pretty fucked. Like the South Park episode? A lot like that, yeah. Only they didn't die in the South Park episode. Which they would have in real life, but, you know. He tried to do the South Park episode, but in real life. I just came back. Who the fuck died? A random guy who played too much WoW once. It happens. I'm just grabbing the stone scale eel pool really fast before... Well, there we go. Before I head to the fishing spot, and then we're going to start the segment. Yeah, he tried to, Larry Banks. Didn't succeed. But he was trying. Oh no. There's an Alliance player hanging out by my fishing spot. Alright, let's hope I can just sneak around him and he doesn't even... Oh, he sees me. I'm totally in his line of sight. You don't see me. You're AFK. Yeah, he is AFK. Oh, so lucky. So lucky that guy's AFK. I didn't even notice he has the AFK tag on, but yeah, he's not even at his computer. Thank God. That guy could probably one-shot me. He's level 60. Good. My spot's safe. See? This is why I fish here. I fish in this little cove, so the Alliance players don't see me. Maybe he's nice? No. That is a level 60 Alliance mage and a gnome player. Definitely not nice. Definitely not nice. Alright, hold on a second, chat. Nice, okay. Let me take a sip. Alright, y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, everybody. So, for a little while now, I've been doing this recurring segment, and they're a lot of fun, and you guys have been really enjoying them, so I figure, why not keep doing them? Where we go back, like years and years ago, and we dig up an old lefty video essay from, like, the old, like, in my opinion, golden era of leftist, like, content online. And we go over that content because, surprisingly, a lot of you in my community weren't even into politics back then. Like, 3 or 4 years ago, you guys weren't even into politics. And it's bizarre to me that so many of you haven't seen these videos that are so oftentimes referenced and, like, so fundamental to lefty memes and whatnot. Like, how many times have you heard, for example, this is a good example. Recently, I had a few chatters not understand where the sell your houses to who, their houses to who, Ben, fucking Aquaman meme comes from. I ran into several lefties in my chat who didn't know where that line comes from. And that reminded me, holy shit, it's been nearly half a decade. And some of these videos that have literally been memeified because they're so good. There's a fair amount of lefties who have never seen these videos before. And I haven't seen a lot of them in a long-ass time. So I figured, what better way to sort of give ourselves the opportunity for, in my case, to refresh ourselves in these videos, and in your case, in a lot of your cases, to see them for the first time, than to watch them on stream and go over them and do an in-depth reaction and response to them. Less of a response and more of like a review, right? This video that we're about to respond to, or review, is from 3 Arrows. It's 3 years old at this point. It came out back in 2020, which it's wild to think that 2020 was that long ago. But very early 2020. Around the time I started doing like YouTube content with politics, like really for real. I started early 2019, but it really got to be serious early 2020. So a lot of you guys weren't into politics around that time. So hopefully a lot of you guys haven't seen this video before, and perhaps many of you haven't even heard of 3 Arrows and will be introduced to his content from this. In fact, there will be a link pinned in the comments down below. The top pinned comment will be a link to this video, and I highly recommend you guys go like and subscribe both 3 Arrows videos and to 3 Arrows channel, because they make some fantastic content. You are really, really missing out if you are not like subbed and watching their videos, because even now they're making great content, but especially the backlog, there are some real bangers that 3 Arrows has made. So yeah, let's hop into watching this video. This is called, and the title in particular really interests me as like a topic for us to cover on this stream: YouTube and the politics of pessimism. I think you guys who've been watching me a lot might understand how lately the topic of this video might apply to some of the things I've been discussing. Let's hop right in.
Hey, what's up? So, I love making response videos. They are fun to make, they generally do well, and they are a great vehicle to get a larger point across. You know, someone clicks to see Steven Crowder get dunked on, and hopefully leaves with a better understanding of a certain topic. Last year, when my channel was much smaller, I took a look at a video of a YouTuber called Black Pigeon Speaks. The video, on the surface, seemed to be about the decay of the West, but that was largely just a front.
For those who don't know, Black Pigeon Speaks is a Nazi, and it was obvious back then, but even then, a lot of lefty figures, just, you gotta be careful. Like, if you're a lefty online, and you're doing a formal response to another far-right figure, or to another figure who's far-right, at least back then, you had to be a lot more careful when it came to using the word Nazi. Like, the right sees the word Nazi as their N-word. That's pretty much it, yeah. Nazi is a right-winger's N-word. Like, if you call them a Nazi, they will react like you called them the N-word. Really. It was like, if you were like a lefty figure trying to dunk on a conservative figure and you called them a Nazi or a fascist, you already lost the debate. You already lost the argument. They literally say that. Yes, they literally do say that.
To whitewash Holocaust denial and push some other garbage ideas. What sets this response video apart from my other ones is that I had to go to much greater lengths to figure out what Black Pigeon Speaks is even trying to say. When Steven Crowder says the big reason for the First Crusade was the fall of Constantinople, it's rather easy for me to point out that this happened hundreds of years after the First Crusade. There you go, debunked. But with a statement like, the West is...
Something that a lot of people will do is sort of mythologize time periods into one bracket, despite the fact that those brackets can very much vary in size and even overlap with each other. Like, how many historical eras that you think of as being completely separate events did you get surprised to later find out happened simultaneously? Like, there are a lot of really huge world events that were happening on opposite sides of the world from each other. And you think of these, like, particular events and time periods around them as, like, very distinct, but they were happening at the same time, just on the other side of the planet. Obviously, Albert Einstein was alive during World War II. That's more common knowledge, so that's not really one. I think there was one involving the building of the pyramids. Obviously, the idea that there were mammoths still on Earth when the pyramids were being built is pretty cool. but it was a different one. It was like when the Roman Empire fell, it's like in Asia, something that's also like really well known happened, but like when you're taught about it, they're completely different sections of history. You think of them as completely different like eras, but they happen at the same time in just different areas, but we just kind of compartmentalize them into different events and different time periods sort of implicitly in our minds. It's weird. Have you seen Ancient Apocalypse or Mini Minuteman series? No, I haven't. I have not.
Is dying because it hates.
Oh, you mean like Ancient Apocalypse, like those History Channel shows? Oh, Mini Minuteman. Yeah, he's the guy that debunks the conspiracy theory shit about history. Yeah. Wait, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I've watched Mini Minuteman. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he debunks the anthropology conspiracy theories and like the aliens built the pyramids type shows. Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Hates itself and no further clarification given. It's not that easy. What is the West in this instance? How is it dying? And how would you even quantify a collection of nation-states hating themselves? It's a very bizarre thing to say as far as political commentary goes, but when you get familiar with more of his content...
It's so wild looking back at videos like this and seeing how the conservative, like, attention span changes, right? Like, back then, the big meme, if you were like a Nazi, was to say that you just cared about the West. You were scared the West was going to fall. And that was like the most common thing. And it was a dog whistle. And people didn't really know what it meant. I mean, people did know what it meant. But a lot of people, unironically, just the dog whistle flew over their heads. They didn't pick up on it. And nowadays, we know it so unanimously to be like Nazi shit. But back then, people didn't know it that way. It was just Nazis dog whistling about their Nazi shit and calling it, oh, I just want to preserve the West, and people falling for that shit. Nowadays, not so much. People are a little bit more knowledgeable of that being blatant Nazi talk, but not so much back then.
It becomes apparent that this sort of bleak narrative about inevitable collapse is almost all he talks about. So much so that a big part of his content is virtually the same. Here's an example of Black Pigeon Speaks' work regarding the UK. Number 1, Britain abolishes itself, with the thumbnail reading UKSSR, which doesn't even make sense as an abbreviation really. Number 2, UK Brave New Fahrenheit 1984. Okay. Number 3, UK Rise of the Police State. Number 4, UK The Police State via Snoopers has arrived. Then another video about how the police state has arrived. But then I guess it went away for a moment, since after that the UK is supposedly descending into a police state again. And then the uploader ends on a twist with UK Rise of the Anarcho-Tyranny State. If you're in the UK, maybe write a comment below at which state the UK currently is right now, because I've completely lost track. Anyway, all these videos are basically identical.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The right's media, made by right-wingers for right-wingers, has always used sensationalized fear as the fuel for their content. It's always what it's been. Nothing's changed.
Identical at their core. They might reference or rather misinterpret different news stories, but the takeaway never changes. Namely, the UK is either about to collapse or become an authoritarian regime or something along those lines. Now you might say, isn't that a bit cherry-picked of me to just pick 5 out of a bunch of videos? So just so we're on the same page, here's another example about the country of Canada in no particular order. Canada, the dumpster fire globalist experiment votes. Canada 2019, world's first meme.
No. 3 Arrows is making me defend Canada. Are you serious? I'm gonna have to defend fucking Canada. Fuck.
Country. Canada, the post-Western non-binary nation. Canada, the post-national meme with no future. Post-national country has no core identity. Canada abolishes itself. Canada, a nation crashing with no survivors. Canada has just joined the top 10 strongest economies in the world again,
Cringe.
by the way. Halal
Again?
Canada, diversity and the end of...
Wait, again? Wait, was Canada not in it and then was in it? Or wait, was in it, then not in it, and then now back in it? What did Canada ever do to you? I just think it's funny. I don't actually hate Canada or Canadians. I just think the memes are funny.
Of free speech. If virtue signaling was a country, it'd be Canada, a warning for America. And number 10, Canada, the next failed state. There are many, many more examples of this on the channel, and sometimes
Canada is not a failed state. There's a lot to criticize about Canada. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. There is a lot to criticize about Canada's government, particularly like one of the most forefront issues that you'll see a lot of leftists talking about when it comes to Canada is the treatment of Indigenous peoples. Especially historically, Canada has a very bloody and extremely fucked up history when it comes to basically genociding the native population. This goes all the way back to like French colonizing of the land that would become Canada. All the way back in the day when the French and British first, settled it, and, going into the future. And even to this day, there's some really fucked up shit. Obviously, the oil pipeline protesters that they, fucking bulldoze through. Because what people need to realize that fascism looks similar everywhere, and people say the same talking points about Canada as the U.S. Yeah, a lot of fascists that we've had to deal with, on the left, in the American left, are from Canada, ironically enough. But at the end of the day, America and its politics are so elevated, so, vitriolic and so inflamed that even Canadian and British right-wing pundits basically exclusively talk about American politics. Because American politics is the easiest to sensationalize, and all right-wing news media is all about sensationalism. It dies without the sensationalism.
he goes as far as to just re-record a video he made in the past but switch things around a bit. Here's a section of the video California, America's first third world state, and Dystopia California, Window to America's Future, side by side.
If California was an independent nation, it would be the 17th most unequal country in the world, tucked just between Honduras and Guatemala. Yes, those countries that send migrant caravans to the border now on a race.
Hey, you gotta hit that 10-minute timestamp, you know? You gotta hit that 10 minutes for maximum mid-roll ads. What's he gonna do? He's gotta get those mid-roll ads. It's all about the money.
Regular basis. Canada, for example.
Yeah, it's echoing because he's playing two different videos side by side where it's the same audio. Well, it's not the same audio, it's the same script. He just fluffs up his videos to get the maximum amount of time he can squeeze in mid-rolls.
In comparison to the social democracies California attempts to ape, well, Canada, for example, is the 111th, and Norway is the 153rd most unequal countries, and that is out of 100.
Amazing. Before we go further into that, I don't really feel the need to point out that Black Pigeon Speaks is actually way more extreme in his political views than he can openly admit on a public platform. Myself and others already made videos laying that out, but I'm just gonna throw one in for good measure. Maybe you just caught that one of the thumbnails read the sentence, Day of the Rake, which is a 4chan meme about the annexation or destruction of Canada. It's also a reference to the fiction book The Turner Diaries, in which at one point everyone in the US who is deemed a race traitor gets publicly hanged in an event called Day of the Rope. The book is basically the Bible of American white supremacists and is said to have inspired numerous terror attacks like the Oklahoma City bombing or the 1999 London nail bombings, as well as a bunch of other stuff. But again, whitewashing Holocaust denial is probably enough to indicate someone's politics. The UK and Canada are far from being...
Yeah, so a lot of Nazis on 4chan and whatnot will originate these very esoteric memes that when referenced, you're probably not going to pick up on them. And then like a year later... or whatever, you'll be like, wait, that's a Nazi meme? Damn it. And you'll remember you heard that somewhere and you'll be like, fuck, that person was doing a Nazi meme. That'll happen. A lot of like esoteric Nazi dog whistles originate from 4chan and like other message boards like that. And I feel like if you've never been on the right, if you don't know like how they devise their bizarre dog whistles, it's hard to identify them, but eventually you start to get good at it.
The only topics Black Pigeon Speaks repeats endlessly on his channel, and when boiled down to basics, most of his videos aren't really about anything. All the information given to the viewer only serves the purpose of painting a doomsday scenario. The collapse of your country, the EU, or the West as a whole is seemingly always imminent, and there's almost never a point in exploring any subject beyond giving the viewers an apocalyptic outlook of their situation. The goal of these videos doesn't revolve around what is said, but how it lands with the viewer. For example, on his channel or his second channel, Felix Rex, he uses every historical concept he can find to convince his viewers that it's all about to go south with no chance of preventing catastrophe. Well, not no chance, but we'll get to that. Like in the video Caesarism, The Decline of the West, where he uses the theories of Oswald Spengler, which claimed that the societies most of us live in have already reached their peak in culture, art, and general level of progress.
Hank Schrader?
What is left for us is just to witness.
Look, it's Hank Schrader. Hank! Hank, no!
A nation on its downturn with literally no way of stopping it. Not only that, but all contemporary culture, for instance your favorite movie, is actually trash. According to Spengler, it is impossible for us to create anything as valuable as what came before, simply because the time when your society...
This is also the phase that every single Reddit atheist goes through, where they think that all good stories and concepts have been executed, and anything that's made after the point of, like, Shakespeare, I guess, is all just rehashes and retreads of something already made, and thus no originality exists. This is, of course, very stupid. Like, beyond stupid. And the older you get, the more you realize, this is very dumb. I don't know why that is a widely held belief by adults, but I feel like a lot of Reddit atheist types go through that phase.
Produce great culture has already passed. In an essay called Pessimism, he writes, "Germany will never again produce another Goethe." Although it's not always spelled out like Spengler does.
But the point of this, essentially, is the idea that we as a culture and a society and a civilization, most importantly, have reached our peak. It's only down from here unless we do something to prevent the downward trend. And if there is no downward trend, there oftentimes isn't, because I'd say humanity's been on a pretty exponentially upward trajectory for quite a long time now. If there is no downward trend, they invent a downward trend.
Political videos by Black Pigeon Speaks follow his footsteps of conveying a feeling of hopelessness. Information gets thrown at the viewer completely out of context or regardless of accuracy, as long as it creates a version of reality that's bleak and depressing. It's much, much different from, for instance, a Steven Crowder video, which mostly exists to simply misinform and for Steven to make money. In that sense, I would go as far as to say the content of Black Pigeon Speaks is closer to fiction than any political commentary I'm familiar with. Apart from ISIS recruiting videos, I can really only think of a single piece of media outside of YouTube that impacts whoever views these videos regularly in a similar fashion. A few years ago, I stumbled over a series of books called The Red Riding Quartet by author David Peace. The events in the series mainly revolve around two things. One is the hunt for a serial killer named the Yorkshire Ripper, and the other one is a series of child abduction cases. What sets this series apart from other crime fiction books is that the experience of reading it is nothing short of repulsive and depressing. Not only through the plot, but how the story is conveyed. They are written in a way that makes it almost impossible to follow the plot for a big chunk of the series. The information the reader gets always feels significant, but it's hard to find any real meaningful connection between one piece of information and another. In the murder mystery genre, it often feels like each chapter gives you a new puzzle piece until you are able to grasp the big picture. In the Red Riding Quartet, it is as if you receive puzzle pieces belonging to an entirely different puzzle. Rather than solving a crime case, the book puts much more effort into conveying a feeling of getting punched in the stomach. Certain bits of information or descriptions, or the constant repetition of specific sentences, serve no purpose at all except making you feel bad and drawing you further into this world. At the end of the series, you might have made several connections of who has done what horrible thing, but the last pages render it all completely meaningless. Spoilers ahead, by the way. At the climax of the last book in the series, one of our main characters finds the hideout where an abducted child has been taken, but he's too late to save it. In addition to that, he finds out that anybody who could have done something about this child abuse and murdering either already knows of its existence or was actively part of it, including his own deceased father. The series leaves you with a feeling of complete emptiness, and even worse, you're the stupid one for expecting that there would be anything positive at the end. The only meaningful difference between the Red Riding Quartet and content like Black Pigeon Speaks is that one at least admits it is fiction. Now I know upon first hearing me say this, it sounds a little far-fetched, comparing political commentary to a work of fiction.
It's not far-fetched at all. That type of story is essentially like misery fuel. Like, it's the kind of story someone wants to read when they just want to feel miserable. And that's the same reason that most conservatives spend the time they do on a lot of these, like, boards. Like, go to 4chan and go to Poll. A lot of those people are very clearly miserable, and browsing and posting on Poll does not make them happy. They are not having their lives made happier by browsing and posting on Poll, and yet they spend an unhealthy amount of hours per day on Poll. The reason for it is they have a drive, an unsatiable drive to be exposed to negative content that fuels an unending wormhole of negativity. Hate, fear, and sadness are the three biggest emotions that drive conservatives. It's their motivation: hate, fear, and sadness. And they need fuel for that motivation to exist. If that fear, hate, and sadness goes away, they usually fall out of being conservatives. How many people, including maybe even yourselves, can you think of that got out of the right-wing, like, echo chamber? You got out of the alt-right pipeline or whatever? And it wasn't necessarily entirely of or because you were exposed to left-wing ideas. It was in large part because your life and your mindset changed in such a way that you were no longer just looking for misery and validation of your miserable mindset. Like, you stopped just like one day you just decided, I'm not gonna browse incel forums or chan boards. I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, like, browse through YouTube and see what comes up. That's how it happens for a lot of people. Maybe they get into a relationship that makes them happy. Maybe they start, they get their first job, or they start, like, getting into a group of friends. For a lot of people, it really is just that simple to get them out of the right. For a lot of people, what's keeping them in the right is this constant fueling of this negativity black hole they have inside of them.
But I would argue that reading the Red Riding Quartet gives you about just as much a truthful image of the events it portrays as Black Pigeon Speaks does with the events he talks about. They both create a fictionalized version of reality. The Yorkshire Ripper really existed, as well as the child abduction cases the book is based on, but that's really about it. They just serve as a basis for the story. The studies or news stories Black Pigeon Speaks picks serve the exact same function. Here's an example that is supposed to indicate that Britain is abolishing itself.
The UK's capital now has more murders in real terms than New York City for the first time in modern history, but devotes its resources to prosecute native citizens that make posts critical of the increasing enrichment of their city on social media.
So this is a great example because it brings something up that is technically true, but the extrapolation drawn from it is complete nonsense. Talking about London's murder rate exceeding the one of New York is supposed to convey the feeling that British society is deteriorating with crime spiraling out of control. According to the news story, it is true that there was a short stretch in 2018 during which the murder rate of London topped that of New York. When we take a look at the broader picture though, it becomes clear that it's not the result of London's skyrocketing murder rate, but rather the result of New York's falling murder rate. In addition to that...
That's so good. That's so fucking good, especially when you consider how much the right tries to use the concept of crime in New York as an own on Democrats. Like, a conservative tries to say, "Oh yeah, the left has made London so unsafe and so bad, the murder rate is worse than New York." Actually, the reason for that is London's murder rate has maintained a pretty low, if not, you can see it's actually on a pretty, it's steadily dropping from a very low position that it started at. It's still been dropping, but New York's murder rate is dropping so low that it's starting to get as low as London. Yeah, It's just the biggest cell phone ever if you actually research it, which is usually what it is, right? Like with conservatives, they don't just lie. They'll lie about something specific that if you actually inform yourself on what they're lying about, not only are they lying, the thing they're lying about, they come up with the lie. They introduce the lie when like the thing related to it wasn't even part of the discussion. And then when you look into their lie, you found out the thing they're lying about actually extra disproves everything they believe in and proves what you believe in. That is how dishonest they are.
In the time frame the headline is based on, there was an unusually high number of murder cases in London and an unusually low number of murder cases in New York. In the entire year of 2018, the murder rate in New York was still twice as high as in London, despite the downward trend. It's not an indicator of anything, especially not Britain abolishing itself. This statistical outlier that is way more representative of New York's success than London's failure is not enough to assume a general trend. When it comes to the talking points he brings up in his videos like this one, it really doesn't matter though if they are truthful or that the conclusion of the video logically follows. These videos are based on true events, so to say. I'll show you another example from the video I mentioned earlier.
Gotta have the spooky music.
There is very
Gotta
much
set
a
the tone.
civilizational crisis across the entirety of the Western world. Our nations are buried under so much debt that it would previously have been unimaginable. Unfunded liabilities that are bankrupting nations as the boomers retire en masse.
So the collapse of the West is imminent, nothing new so far, but what follows after is another great example of guff meant to scare the viewer. A high national debt barely tells us anything about the overall financial state of a country. The reason he brings this up is because someone who doesn't know any better would think of the type of debt
So basically, conservatives back then especially, it's less common now because... Less so because I think people understand the concept of national debt, and more so because it's just a boring topic to try to start culture war stuff on. But the idea was that under the control of Democrats, America ends up having a really high national debt, right? And then under Republicans, they eliminate the national debt. And they kind of... They basically operate either overtly saying or under the... like clearly with the implication under the assumption that national debt works like personal debt, where it's like you owe someone. That's not how it works. From my understanding, and it's more complicated than this, and I'm not going to be able to fully understand, I'm not going to be able to fully explain it, but essentially, the way national debt functions is as a disparity, a literal numbers disparity between how much one country is investing in another country. For example, China and America. There's a lot of talk about the debt that we have to China. And it's talked about like it's a really bad thing, but it's actually not. Our high national debt to China actually gives China incentive for America to do okay. China wants to see economic reimbursement for the amount of money that we spend, or the amount of money and resources they put into things that we buy. They want to see that come back. They want to see the economic benefit that's going to bring. When we have a very high national debt to a country, that's not a bad thing for us. It doesn't affect the economy in a negative way unless, I guess, we shut down the government. I remember when I was like 12 or 11. I was in middle school, and Obama was president. And the first ever government shutdown, I remember, happened. And I remember I woke up, and my mom was like talking about there being a government shutdown. I was like, whoa, hold on. The government shutdown? What? Okay, hold on. Should I like go pack a bag? Like, is it over? Is it all over? Like, what do you mean? You're acting so casual. You're telling me the government shut down, and I'll go get my bag. Like, we gotta go. Like, it's over. You know, that was my reaction, right? But then I went to school that day, and in history class, they explained what that meant. But, yeah, I mean, national debt is literally the only negative thing that comes out of America having a high national debt to other countries, particularly China, is Republicans weaponize it against Democrats. That's literally it. If anything, it's a sign of a healthy economy.
They might have with a credit card company and think this must be really bad. And not to get too deep into this, but the sheer amount of debt doesn't tell us much, because if a country makes a lot of money, them having a bit more debt isn't really that big of a deal. A better indicator would be the debt to gross domestic product ratio. In the US, for instance, it's currently quite high.
And America is obviously one of the most wealthy nations in the world, so it's like we are not going to go bankrupt. America, one of the best examples of this, and this is something you can do to reassure yourself, America is not like going to go into debt and like die out. The American dollar is the basis of the vast majority of American economics, or not American economics, of world economics. Like the US dollar is the basis of a bunch of that shit, is the comparison point. A lot of it is literally based on the US dollar. Like our money basically makes this economy function on a worldwide level. If we fail, the world fails. Everyone's invested in us. And everyone we're invested in wants us to do well because we're invested in them. If America falls apart and like there's no more America anymore, like all the electronics we buy from China, that goes away, right? Like I don't know. I don't need to talk about national debt. It's boring.
Partially because of Trump's tax cut, which mostly benefited the super rich, but it's not a record high, so I don't know why this would have been previously unthinkable, as the video states. Jumping to a different country like Germany, the ratio is actually pretty good and has dipped below the one of 2007. Looking at the entire Eurozone, it's also lower than it was 4 years ago. But even a high debt to GDP ratio doesn't have to be a bad thing, especially right now where borrowing money is dirt cheap. So much so that it might be better for a country to just refinance that debt than to pay it off. What really matters is not the amount of debt, but the interest rate it's borrowed at. A lot of that debt also is usually intragovernmental, so money the government owes to its own agencies to fund things like social security. And even if none of that mattered, if the entire world is horribly in debt, who do you think that money is owed to? Wouldn't that be like us. 4 friends each lending $50 to one another?
Ironically enough, us. Like, probably us. Probably some business based in America that runs its manufacturing out of China. We're probably mostly in debt to ourselves.
I think you get the idea. But nuance like that would ruin the punch of hearing our countries are horribly in debt. Debt equals bad, that's why this talking point is in the video. Also, while the boomers retiring will most likely cause a spike in social spending, them leaving the workforce also has the potential to bring in new people.
It sounds even scarier after the 2008 financial crisis. Like, millennials who lived through the 2008 financial crisis use words like national debt, and they're going to be too scared and too stupid to look into it, and they're just going to listen to whatever you have to say about the Democrats being bad.
Who previously had trouble finding a job. It's not as much a doomsday scenario as our narrator makes it out to be, although it's definitely a challenge. He goes on to talk about the theories of Spengler, who we talked about before, and specifically his...
Oh, here's a good example, actually. The 2008 financial crisis was so bad that Europeans and like people in Asia, in Asian countries and whatnot, felt it too. The whole world felt the 2008 financial crisis, and that was an American thing. Like, we are the economy. America is the economy. And the idea that America, you see a lot of these memes, for example, that the average empire or nation lasts for like 350 years on average, and America is coming up on that like time frame, and so America's approaching its inevitable like lifespan of like falling, like America's gonna fall, like the fall of Rome. You see a lot of Nazi posting about that. But like, could you imagine how catastrophically world-ending it would be if America fell? Not to mention the fall of Rome was like an event that took place over the course of like decades and decades, even centuries, I think. It wasn't like a thing that happened overnight. The fall of Rome was like a very long, prolonged, like generational, like loss of land and influence and culture and all that shit. Anyway, like, yeah, they basically act as though like in the span of a year, America's just going to destroy itself due to, I guess, civil war or something. But, like, imagine how apocalyptic of an event that would be for the entire rest of the world. Genuinely.
This idea of Caesarism, described in his book Der Untergang des Abendlandes, or The Decline of the West. According to Spengler, history, rather than being viewed linear, should be seen as functioning in cycles and to follow the same patterns each time. In this theory, the last phase of a civilization is ushered in by the abolition of democracy and a strong, Caesar-esque figure taking over. The supposed conclusion of this video is that we are currently at this stage of Caesarism and bases that on information like a poll taken in the UK.
So he just, like I said, he just brought up Rome. So, like, just as I said, the idea that America is the next Rome is basically what these people play into. It's a large part of why they play into the statues, the white marble statues. It's LARPing, and it's all tied back to that fundamental idea that America has this, like, set timetable till it's like till it falls, and the inevitable fall will be caused by progressivism, I guess.
Chile to Spain, the US to Italy, and points in between, civilization exhaustion and trust in the political process and in democracy itself is eroding and spilling into the streets violently. Political gridlock today is no better exemplified than that by the failure, despite a political mandate provided by popular referendum over 3 years ago, for the United Kingdom to exit from the European Union. And the disgust with the political class.
My favorite videos are conservative videos complaining about how the first Brexit vote didn't go through. Like, after Brexit happened, and it was just the most unanimously agreed upon, like, mistake ever. So much so to the point that a shit ton of Brexiters, I don't know if you guys knew this, by the way, a ton of Brexiters didn't think that was the actual vote. A ton of people who voted Brexit didn't think that was the actual official vote, and were and literally just marked Brexit because they thought it was like a test vote, essentially, and they didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, unironically, a large, like a scary amount of Brexiters or Brexit voters didn't even just regret their vote. They didn't mean to actually vote Brexit. I don't think that's true. Dude, I remember there was a news story about this back in 2016, or was it 2017? Back when Brexit happened. There were a bunch of British people who didn't know that was the actual legit, like, that's it. Like, there's no going back vote. They thought it was like a test vote or like a trial vote type thing. And then, of course, there's a ton of people who voted Brexit that regret it. It was, like, just a massive mistake. Wasn't there, like, a huge economic crash in Britain after Brexit? Like, didn't the pound drop down to, like, just a scary low amount? Like, very similar to what happened to the ruble during, like, at the start of the war. I remember, Nafuckers was doing videos at the start of the war, and he's Russian, so he was like, you know, he's obviously against the war, but he went to a store to buy milk, and the milk was like, the inflation had resulted in the milk being like 2,000 rubles for a gallon of milk or something. The Aussie dollar beat the British pound. Wow. I thought they accidentally pushed the wrong button to cast their vote or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a grim news story. It was a bunch of, like, British people getting interviewed, and they were like, "Yeah, I didn't know that was like the final vote. I thought there was gonna be like another one to officiate it. I didn't know that was it. And if I could, this is the night. This is like the night, like the morning after the vote. And if I knew that was the only one, I wouldn't have voted for Brexit. I just wrote it in as like a meme." England didn't recover from GFC, so Brexit ranked them. Oh, for sure wait, are you? Oh, you're talking about something else. My bad. I love Nafuckers, his coverage on the war. Yeah, his videos are really good. I like Nafuckers. He's kind of like a bread tuber, but not. He's in a very interesting niche.
Has now become so entrenched and so thorough that in fact a majority of people in England, Wales, and Scotland now believe that violence against members of Parliament is a price worth paying if it meant that their views on Brexit won out. And that is a majority of people, both Leavers and Remainers, according to a recent poll taken by academics from the University of Edinburgh and Cardiff for YouGov. And also shockingly, there was a large percentage of people surveyed who said that turning on their fellow citizens could be justified, even if it resulted in them being badly injured, if it settled Brexit in their favour.
So we have the assertion that a majority of voters in the UK say violence against MP is worth it to get Brexit their way, with this being another indicator of society falling apart. Putting aside that I don't see how a poll on Brexit would speak for any country but the UK, the claim put forward in the video is a flat-out lie. What the poll actually said was that a majority of those surveyed did see violence against MPs as a risk worth taking to get their preferred Brexit outcome. Now that might not sound like much of a distinction at first, but when we dig deeper into the poll it makes all the difference. For instance, a person answering the question of the poll might think the risk is worth it because they deem that risk to be rather low. The same poll concluded that 66% of Leave voters thought violence being directed towards MPs was unlikely if Britain left the EU. Apart from that, the survey didn't even include a possible answer for people who didn't see violence towards MPs as a risk, or people who thought there would be a risk of violence either way. It would be like asking me if I accept the...
I said earlier in the video, if there is no downward decline, they'll invent one.
...the possibility of being hit by a car when I go outside to walk my extremely good and cute dog. Obviously, I'd say yes, because I think the risk of that happening is very low. Someone extrapolating from my answer that I'm willing to die in a car crash to get my dog the proper exercise would be ridiculous. It's the same with the second claim our narrator makes, where 38% of those surveyed said protests in which members of the public are badly injured are a risk worth taking. It's also possible that some of those surveyed didn't take the poll seriously or didn't understand some of the questions, since according to the reported data, 5% say they want to get substantially poorer regardless of Brexit, and about 11% say they want the party they support to lose the next general election. But again, none of these...
Yeah, I think a fair amount of people might not have understood the questions. I can't imagine anyone answering those questions yes.
These facts matter to Black Pigeon Speaks, because that headline sounds bad.
Yes,
That's
I
the
want
only
my
thing
party
that
to
counts.
lose.
Another good example of that is Spengler's theory on the decline of the West in itself, because Europe already went through its Caesarism phase. Spengler, despite being a huge anti-Semite, didn't think Hitler was the right guy for the job of the German Caesar, but put his trust into Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. And that glorious Caesar phase for Italy? Yeah, never really happened. The only thing he really accomplished was driving Italy into the historical ditch and end up mutilated hanging upside down from a gas station. And guess what? Italy, Germany, they're still there, doing much better than during their time under a dictatorial regime. But putting all that to the side, you might ask yourself, how does Spengler argue for his theory of history as cycles when that simply just doesn't match reality? Well, that's a very good question with an entertaining answer. Spengler saw history as a living organism and compared it to a caterpillar, which you wouldn't expect to just keep on growing and stay a caterpillar forever. But for us, and for Black Pigeon Speaks, it's not that important to go into Spengler's weird musings about his overall perception of history, because he is only interested in what he and Spengler want to communicate. Back then, and to this day, the right replaces actual history with mysticism and uses that as a tool to push their ideas. You know, we have to curb immigration because that's the way the Roman Empire fell and nonsense like that. The reason why Black Pigeon Speaks and the right in
I will say, I do love making an argument, or like paraphrasing a thing that right-wingers argue, and then the video we're watching does exactly that. And reminder, I haven't watched this video in 3 years. I don't remember anything about it. So like, this isn't me having well, I have pre-watched technically, but I don't remember any of it. So, you know, this isn't me like remembering what happens. It's just these conservatives, they're very predictable, and their propaganda, it changes on the surface level, but when you, like, if you actually get down to the nitty-gritty, the core of why conservatives say what they say, those reasons never change. The reason why conservatives say what they do never change. But what they're saying does. And if you know why they say what they say, then you can immediately like dismantle what they're saying and how they're trying to get their thoughts across through their dishonesty. Because remember, conservatives are rarely honest. Nazis are rarely honest. Fascists, as you can imagine, lie.
General are interested in Spengler is not his comparing history to a tree or a caterpillar, but his pessimism. There's even a German word for that kind of person that our narrator fits to a T. It's called a Zweckpessimist, or purposeful pessimist, who make a big show of how terrible everything is to get a certain reaction, and in this case, exploit it. Spengler's work is interesting to study in terms of cultural impact, since he was widely read in Germany's interwar years, and really tapped into the pessimism towards the country's future. When it comes to the actual content of the book, though, it's worthless, pseudo-historical trash. But even if all that is true, and this entire channel runs on misinformation, how does this mean that Black Pigeon Speaks doesn't actually care about what he is saying, and that only the effect matters? The simple answer is that there's absolutely no indication that he cares about the coherence of his ideas in the slightest. Let's jump to a different recent video on his second channel, Felix Rex, titled Endgame, The Fall of the West. It starts out with the usual incoherent rambling about how civilization will most likely collapse soon, and then puts forth a historical theory just as we have seen in the video before. This one is based on the writing of Sir John Glubb and his paper The Fate of Empires and Search for Survival. In this paper, he claims empires or superpowers have a lifespan of about 250 years, excluding outliers like
I literally referenced this earlier. I got it wrong, though. I said 350 years. It's 250 years. The Nazis like to claim that America is approaching its inevitable lifespan of where it'll fall, like the Roman Empire. I fucking love predicting the shit Nazis. These people they're so predictable. These people's ideology, they just say a lot of random breakneck bullshit to make it sound like what they believe is more complicated than it is. But once you understand it at a fundamental level, it's all so simple. And you know exactly the kind of shit they're going to say before they even say it.
The German Empire, for instance. And I really don't want to get too deep into this because I consider it a waste of time. But broadly speaking, there is no systemic model that comprehensively explains everything in history. The reason why the vast majority of historians do not adhere to these models is that they do not sufficiently explain the past, neither do they reliably predict the future. Glubb even admits in his paper that the dates his theory is based on are largely arbitrary. The Ottoman Empire, for instance, remained a great power after 1570, even though they were entering a period of decline.
The fall of what you might call the Roman Empire happened over the course of hundreds of years. It was like a very drawn out, like, political and like world. So like there was just so many things that happened, so many like intersecting reasons that happened. It's just America is not in that kind of position. Like if you want to compare Rome to America, it's just the positions that these two empires are in, completely different. Like on the surface, it's a similar comparison. Like, the most powerful, empires in the world, the golden beacons of civilization, right? Like that's the meme. But like, if you're trying to compare like some fall of the empire narrative, it's just not there. The Roman Empire fell between 100 and 1400 AD, literally over 1,000 years. It's just, it's a long period of time. It was not like overnight the Civil War destroyed the nation, but that's how these people talk about it.
The Byzantine Empire, which isn't listed here, even lasted for over 1,000 years. And while Glubb tries to acknowledge outliers by comparing the lifespan of empires to that of a human that allows for variation, no human reaches 4 or 5 times their average life expectancy. Your theory becomes useless at that point because history, apart from not being a caterpillar, is also not like a human. The reason why I'm talking about Glubb's theory as indication that our narrator doesn't care about what he is saying is that while Glubb is obviously influenced by Spengler, he ultimately disagrees with his model of historical cycles. Spengler rejected the idea that history just keeps on going.
Conservatives love citing people that completely disagree with what they believe. I mean, hell, look at how often conservatives try to weaponize Martin Luther King and act like Dr. Martin Luther King would have agreed with them if he was alive today.
Going in a linear fashion, well, Glubb writes this in his paper. to derive any.
Like, fuck, imagine if the far-right interests hadn't fucking murdered him. It's almost like, yeah, he'd probably be in favor of those same people today.
Useful instruction from history, it seems to me essential, first of all, to grasp the principle that history, to be meaningful, must be the history of the human race. For history is a continuous process, gradually developing, changing and turning back, but in general moving forward in a single mighty stream. Any useful lessons to be derived must be learned by the study of the whole flow of human development, not by the selection of short periods here and there in one country or another. In the video this theory is brought up, there is no attempt to reconcile these two.
Oh yeah, actually, very good point from Twitch chat. Obviously of George Orwell, who wrote 1984, and also, obviously, they love, fuck, I can't remember the name. They love using 1984 as like, their big, like, oh, my God, this is like the treatise on what the left wants to do to the world. Oh my God, they want to turn the world into Oceania. And it's like, okay, you understand that George Orwell was a democratic socialist, right? Like George Orwell was a very open about the fact he was, I believe it was democratic socialist. Yeah, like, I don't think he was trying to predict an authoritarian left-wing society. I think it was just supposed to be authoritarian. Like, it wasn't even authoritarian right. I wouldn't even say it was like fascism. I don't even think that Oceania was far-right, like, authoritarianism. It was more of just a very centrist, almost partisan authoritarianism. Authoritarianism for nothing other than authoritarianism's sake. Like, just completely removed from any political left or right bias, just... It is a story about a authoritarian society and its imposition of its will on the people. Like, it could be a Nazi society. It could be like the USSR. It could be either. It could be a stand-in for either. It's just a narrative on authoritarianism purely.
With one another or even acknowledge the contradictions.
That's
Ultimately,
my read of it.
Glob's and Spengler's models are incompatible, and the one thing they have in common is an effort to be as pessimistic as possible. And to me, this really lays bare the aim of content like this. Portraying studies, events, or even outdated historical theories in an honest way, or not regurgitating something talked about 15 times already, all comes secondary to the effort of depressing the viewer. This, interwoven with videos on how women destroy civilizations, for instance, is supposed to lay the groundwork for the political project of the channel. And just to zoom in on this a bit, even if these videos didn't have the aim to pull people to the far right, or you don't believe they do, they still have the potential to be incredibly harmful. Let's say you don't end up a Groiper or whatever dorky stuff these people are into these days. Maybe you just think Spengler is correct and believe doom is inevitable, or buy the argument that women really do destroy civilizations. Just believing a bunch of these assertions on their own, it's easy to see how this content, well, I would say, further social isolation and prevents you from making meaningful connections in your life. A less sensitive way someone else might say it is turning you into a massive, constantly sad loser. Think of yourself as an impressionable young guy and stumbling over a video about how women destroy civilizations and buying it wholesale. Imagine making your first experiences with...
The crazy thing is, Vosh made this exact same argument and got shit on endlessly by the left. Like, he basically made the argument of, like, imagine being like a young dude, and the only, like, people who are making content that's, like, directed at people in your demographic and trying to offer advice is conservative propaganda that's trying to use, like, give you life advice with politics as a chaser to it, you know? A little bit of life advice to the side of politics. A little bit of side of Nazi propaganda.
Women, while always having in the back of your head that they're fundamentally disloyal and will leave you to gain any advantage. And then, when you're totally socially inept and incapable of connecting to other people, you get hit with the solution, which is packaged as constituting society along different lines, as he says at the end of the video.
In the coming troubles that have been brought about by the decadence in our civilization, we will hear inevitable calls for order and assurances of renewed stability. But there's always going to be a price for this. And yes, maybe the experiment in universal suffrage, for example, has run its course. Or maybe a reorientation of society is needed. Or as yet, something unclear or unknown.
Wow, this is so ahead of its time. This is so ahead of its time. This was early. This was actually the video that he's responding to was from 2019. Black Pigeon Speaks made this video in 2019. This was so ahead of its time. This is before the rise of Andrew Tate and the Matrix memes. Well, I guess the red pill was a meme. But like this is before Andrew Tate popularized the whole we're living in the Matrix.
Can be worked out in the future. Adjustments will of course have to be made along new ways of problem solving. It's either this or the alternative.
Naturally, he never actually gets into the specifics of what he wants to happen, because he'd be banned off the platform if he did. What he does instead is tiptoe around what he really wants to say and uses sentences like adjustments will have to be made, and that when doing so, we shouldn't shy away from being called illiberal, which is the advertiser-friendly way of advocating for the restriction of personal freedoms. If you would only throw your fellow citizens under the bus who are anything but straight cis white males, then you'll be good to go, and the fictitious reality that you have been sold previously won't be as bleak. I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I know what it's like to have such a dark outlook as Black Pigeon Speaks sells his viewers, but even the thought to be in that headspace, to never be able to leave Yorkshire, so to say, and live in that world, sends shivers down my spine. Now I get this might come off as me making excuses for someone who shares Black Pigeon Speaks' worldview after watching his videos and empathizing with people who maybe don't deserve it. And while I think these people should be held accountable for their beliefs, just looking at this content like I have before and focusing on the accuracy of the displayed information leaves out why it is there in the first place. These videos aren't simply bad because they're full of lies, but also because they're by design predatory. One thing this look at Black Pigeon Speaks content as a piece of media really has drawn into focus for me is to what pathetic means the far right has to resort to spread their ideas. Not only twisting studies or news stories, that's always been obvious, but also to fester and then exploit social isolation. When the left says to be a fascist is to be a loser, since it's an ideology that history shows to always fail, the far right seemingly has taken that literally and acknowledged that they have to make you vulnerable to even get a foot in the door. The argument always boils down to desperate times call for desperate measures. And if you're not desperate yet, well, let me tell you a thing or two. And by things, I mean lies, obviously. Thank you for watching, everyone.
That is a very good video. That was a very, very good video. Obviously, the title, you know, had me interested, and I'd seen the video a long time ago, back when it came out, over 3 years ago now. It's almost been 4. Yeah, that is a really, really good one. I've always loved Three Arrows videos. I've always thought they're very well put together, and I've never felt that he is like part of that woke scoldy sphere of lefty video essayists. I feel like he genuinely he really does his research. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that just hears a rumor or hears something about someone or something and just rolls with it because it's convenient. And I really appreciate that. And he doesn't seem like he's opposed to the idea of like understanding why someone who is conservative would end up in that position. There's so many lefty video essayists, and it's always the video essayists for some reason. I don't know why. They make great content a lot of the time, but then their takes on Twitter are just awful. They seem to act as though trying to put yourself in the shoes of someone on the right and understand how a normal person could get to that place is wrong. In fact, we covered a drama, more of a harassment campaign, that was happening on Twitter recently to a user named Tori. When she was young, she was raised up into a far-right racist cult. Like, literally a far-right religious cult. And obviously, when she became an adult, she got freedom and stopped being racist because she was no longer forced to live in a far-right religious cult. But back when she was in that far-right religious cult, she'd posted a bunch of racist stuff online. But that's things racists do, but she's not racist anymore and hasn't been for a long time. These are 10-year-old tweets. But a bunch of woke scolds on Twitter found it and tried to use it as justification to rally together a massive hate brigade. And the vast majority, it was very interesting to see that happen to her as well, because it very clearly demonstrated how dishonest it all is. But I don't want to stun lock into that too much. My point is that drama demonstrated to me how much of the left is opposed to even seeing things from the perspective of conservatives. Not from the dishonest conservatives, but from the victims of conservative propaganda. How one can be victimized by that, and how one who is not inherently a bad person can fall for Nazi propaganda or far-right propaganda. It's like you're not allowed to try to think about that. You can't empathize with them. And it is important to empathize with them. You have to understand how they think in order to fight what they believe. What'd you guys think of that segment? Oh my god, I like burped as I said segment. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. These people aren't even the online left, they're pseudo-leftists. Most of them are just like random Twitter accounts that are just like vaguely woke, you know? Oh my god, my internet's dropping like crazy. I hope the stream's still going. I stopped the recording and the internet just fucking died. Let's hope it comes back. Yeah, just dropped to 0. Come on, internet, you can handle it. Come on. You can do this, Wi-Fi, you can handle it. Come on. You can pull through. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Internet, no. You can do it. Wi-Fi, please. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, please. Come back. Come back. Come back, please. Stop being in the red. Please go back to the green. Please go back to the green. 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 Internet, please give me back to green. Please. Please, no.